Again, take that leg back and extend one arm out in front of you, up, looking up towards your fingertips. Good. And now the other side. Carefully turning in your chair. Extend one leg back.
Good morning. Good morning to everyone here. I will now call the May 10th San Diego County Board of Supervisors regular meeting to order. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. Supervisor Anderson. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Here.
Supervisor Desmond.
Here.
Vice Chair Vargas.
Vargas here.
Chair Fletcher.
Fletcher here. We will begin with the invocation. The invocation will be delivered by Bishop Cornelius Bowser, founding pastor of Charity Apostolic Church. I'll ask everyone to please rise.
I want to thank you, Chair Fletcher and San Diego County Board of Supervisors for inviting me to do the invocation for the County Board of Supervisors. Will you bow your heads with me and let us pray? To the eternal Almighty God, I thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today at the County Board of Supervisors meeting. Thank you for your numerous and generous blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the scope of health we need to fulfill our callings, for sustenance and for friendship. Thanks as well for the freedom to embrace you or the freedom to reject you. Thank you for loving us even so from your boundless and gracious nature. I come this morning thanking you for each official that occupies a seat on this Board of Supervisors and all other staff members that make up the General Assembly. According to Psalms 8 of the Scriptures, we know, Almighty God, that your hands have made the earth and everything in it, and you have placed humanity as a steward over it. I pray today that the members of the County Board of Supervisors will continually understand and embrace this truth. May they therefore seek to carry out the sacred trust with all integrity, veracity, and equity. Now, Almighty God, let your blessings be upon the County Board of Supervisors and grant peace, prosperity to all its members and participants of this gathering and the business at hand. I thank you, Lord, for the victories won through the County Board of Supervisors that has set the standard for our counties. We ask that you guide them with love and understanding as they continue to address the issues centered around mental health care, jail reform, quality of life for workers, law enforcement accountability, gun violence prevention, and human rights. I ask, dear God, that you will give this County Board of Supervisors wisdom, strength, and encouragement as they continue to lead this great county. Now, Almighty God, bless the County Board of Supervisors as they work to improve the lives of all San Diegans in a variety of ways. Work through them and enable them to engage in meaningful discussion that will nurture the bonds of community. Bless them as they continue to make the tough choices that will benefit this region. In closing, may the face of God shine upon this San Diego County Board of Supervisors and bless the work of all the hands involved. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bishop Bowser, for joining us. It's good to see you. The Pledge of Allegiance will be delivered remotely by Marisol McBride's third grade class from Veterans Elementary School in Chula Vista. We welcome our third graders. Thank you for joining us at the board meeting today. And we will turn it over to you to lead our Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand and place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. We hope you have a great day at school. Please be seated. We will now proceed with our proclamations. I will give the first proclamation honoring San Diego Sheriff's Department Search and Rescue Canine Unit. Yeah. Just come right back here. Come on up. Get your whole crew up here. Hey, good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Absolutely. Sheriff, good to see you. Any day you start your day with a bunch of dogs around is guaranteed to be a good day. And as chair of the board, it is my honor to recognize the true stars today here. Please join me in welcoming Gus. Where's Gus? Right here. Gus is right here. Albert. We got Riley, and then we got Bindi over here. Bindi's my wonderful dog. We had a wonderful morning. The entire staff had the opportunity to spend a few a few minutes with these dogs, and we're here today. They're doing their job. They're tracking people down. They're like, it's easy to find people here. There's people everywhere. But it's a real treat to be here today. Riley, what's up with the Goldens? Always needing the attention. Come on. You're okay. Riley likes the attention there. It's a great honor to be here today to honor the San Diego Sheriff's Department Search and Rescue Team. Dedicated individuals who go out every time that they are called in need and help track down folks who are missing. It could be a hiker, often an experienced hiker who gets a little cocky. It could be a senior suffering from dementia who gets lost, a child who wanders out. But they are ready and there to be deployed to help track down our loved ones, to help those who are in need. And this team was formed in March of 1963. And it was formed as a part of the Sheriff's Department Emergency Services Division and has expanded to encompass 9 specialized units. The Search and Rescue Canine Unit has played a crucial role in the success of the Sheriff's Department search and rescue operations, and as volunteer dog handlers and search and rescue dogs, the unit has dedicated nearly 5,300 hours towards actual missions and emergency response training. They do the important work of training 4 to 6 times per month to respond to call-outs, conduct scent tracking, assist county agencies, and ultimately locate missing persons. I had the opportunity to learn a little bit more about them this morning. We have tracking dogs that will detect the scent and go out and track, and we have area dogs. The area dogs will go out and find any human that is located in that area without an originating scent. In their line of emergency response, the Search and Rescue Canine Unit handlers and canines demonstrate leadership, professionalism, resiliency when folks may be in their greatest time of need. Having spent a little time with the dogs this morning, they also demonstrate tremendous sweetness and compassion, and I can't imagine being lost and the despair you're going through, and to have one of these wonderful animals come up to you and have you know that you're going to be okay. There are 17 dogs on the team, including Albert. I want to recognize Albert here, the bloodhound, first bloodhound to be a part of the team. We recognize Albert because Albert was named for Sergeant Tom Albert Parker, who was with the team for 25 years. Sergeant Parker led some of the largest searches in San Diego County, including the searches for Chelsea King and Amber Dubois. We lost Sergeant Parker to cancer in 2018, and he is certainly missed, and Albert carries on the name and the mission with great resiliency and great courage. And so it is my great honor to be here to provide a proclamation in honor of our Search and Rescue Canine Unit, not just the wonderful canines, but the incredible handlers who dedicate so much of their time, and the sheriff's staff who oversee and help the training and make sure it all is in place. And so be it proclaimed by Chair Fletcher and all members of the Board of Supervisors on San Diego County on this 10th day of May that we commend the San Diego Sheriff's Department Search and Rescue Canine Unit for its unwavering commitment to the public safety and mission to bring loved ones home, and do hereby declare this day to be San Diego Sheriff's Search and Rescue Day throughout San Diego County. Congratulations, and I would like to call on Pamela Medhurst to say a few words. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It's our honor to stand here today representing all of our K-9 unit. Wish we could have had everybody here. That would have overwhelmed everything. But thank you so much, Chairman Fletcher and all of the Board of Supervisors, for recognizing the hundreds and thousands of hours that all of Search and Rescue donates to make our community as safe as possible. We are so proud to be members of the San Diego Sheriff's Department. Thank you.
I also want to thank Sheriff Tony Ray, Under Sheriff Kelly Martinez, and all of the leadership that you see here who oversee this important work and many others. Let's give them all one more round of applause. All right, now we're going to back straight up here. We're going to take a picture. Come on, Ryan. Come on, baby. Come on.
Is there any way
I can go down. I'll go down. Oh, there you go. You smell it? You're smelling your proclamation. Oh, no?
baby. Okay. Good. One last one, you turn that sideways just to see. Yeah. Okay.
It's got a little drool. All right. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hold on. Here, you got to take this. This goes with you. That's Albert's. So drool it off.
Yeah.
Let's go. Thank you.
Some folks get a little nervous. You start the day with live animals. I think a few years ago they had a horse here, and it did not quite go so well. I wasn't here for that, but I heard about it. But our second proclamation will be from Vice Chair Nora Vargas and myself, honoring National Nurses Week. And accepting this proclamation will be our own Dr. Denise Foster and team. Please come up. Come on in, crowd in behind. Good morning. You all crowd in behind. Vice Chair Vargas and I are so proud this morning to celebrate and honor a group of people who deserve our highest praise, and that is our nurses. In particular, we're here today to honor the nurses of the County of San Diego. We know that year in and year out, nurses do incredible work, taking care of patients, telling doctors what they need to actually do, holding it all together and making our healthcare system work. We also know that in particular in the last 2 years, our nurses have shouldered an immense burden. The reality of the pandemic, the reality of strain and stress on their workforce, of danger to their own workforce, of often being the only ones there because of visitation changes to be the ones to say goodbye. We know our nurses across America and across the world have shouldered a tremendous burden. And so we in particularly are here this year to recognize their professionalism, to recognize their courage and their compassion and the vital role that they play. County of San Diego nurses are there to promote patterns of healthy living, to foster personnel, family development, support the defined goals of individuals, community, families, and population. In particular, our nurses at the County of San Diego go into communities often left behind and forgotten about, with the real equity lens of making sure that everyone has access to the basic human right of health care. County of San Diego nurses played a vital and critical role in our response to COVID-19 and in the recovery. And now that we've entered a new stage of the pandemic, the nurses continue to be essential, not just in addressing issues of public health like COVID, but all of the issues around living well and a healthy and thriving San Diego County. And so on behalf of the entire board, we want our nurses to know how much we appreciate and value the work that you do every single day, year in and year out. And I'd now like to call on Vice Chair Vargas.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. It is an honor for me to present this proclamation along with you, Chair, honoring our nurses throughout San Diego County in recognition of National Nurses Week. This year's theme is You Make a Difference. And I really want to make sure we tell all the nurses out there that we want to make sure you know that you absolutely do make a difference, all of you. And not only in the lives of our residents, but each and every day you're making a difference in our communities. And so I think many of you know that my dad was pretty ill in the last couple of years of his life, and I can only honestly say that I'm extremely grateful to all the nurses who took care of him, particularly while he was on the ICU in the hospital during COVID when his family could not be there by his side for healthy and safety reasons. And it was priceless to me and to my family to be able to call the nurses, and all of you, nurses always answer with, you were always hectic, everything was going on, and they always answered the calls, keeping us up to date, and just letting us know how much, everything was going to be okay, and letting him know that he was loved. And that is priceless. The work that you do every day, very few people can do. And so I just wanted to say thank you for our nurses. In addition to being trusted caregivers and advocates, you ensure that our patients receive quality care and services. You help influence and shape also policy. You make sure that everyone has access to high quality, affordable care and coverage. And in our county, we're really, really grateful not only for the work that you do across the region in multiple healthcare systems and for our unwavering dedication, but in addition to everything that Chair Fletcher mentioned, I do want to highlight in the last year during the pandemic, while everything else was going on, you also stood there with us at the convention center and you took care of all those baby girls and baby boys who really needed somebody who were alone and who were feeling scared, and you were there for them. So thank you for being so selfless, for the sacrifices that you do on behalf of our communities. And so on behalf of the County of San Diego, we honor your heroic work and commitment to keeping our communities safe and healthy. Así que a todas las enfermeras que cuidan de nuestras comunidades, muchísimas gracias. Be it proclaimed by Chair Fletcher and all the members of the County Board of Supervisors on this 10th day of May that we commend the County of San Diego nurses for their outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to the health and wellness of county residents, and do hereby declare May 8th to the 14th to be National Nurses Week throughout San Diego. And it's my honor to introduce one of our fearless leaders, Dr. Foster.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher, Vice Chair Vargas, and the entire Board of Supervisors for this recognition. It is my honor to accept this on behalf of the hundreds of county nurses who are devoted to serving our community. Throughout the year, our nurses have been dedicated to building resilience by responding to immediate needs of individuals, families, and the region. Our county nurses have earned the public's trust through their continued dedication to the health needs of individuals, families, and the community. Equity and the belief that access to care is a human right are at the heart of their person-centered models of care. Throughout the pandemic, they demonstrated courageous leadership and a shared belief in the professional responsibility to serve those most in need. They have coordinated care and engaged with the community to ensure equal opportunity for health and well-being to achieve mutual goals such as performing testing and vaccination events. Our nurses are committed to exceptional service that fosters inclusiveness and belonging. Our nurses believe in securing the future of our region through sustainable and innovative best practices with a support of our region for building better health, living safely, and thriving. Thank you again for honoring their work.
The cool part is
I don't want to block you. You get right there, make sure you get in.
Okay, not you. There you go. I was in the middle of Okay, one more. Proceed. Okay, thank you.
Our third proclamation will be from Vice Chair Nora Vargas, honoring Dia de las Madres, and accepting this proclamation will be Daniela Kelly.
good job. You said it perfectly. There you go. One of the beauties of, sí, vente para acá, por favor. One of the beauties of being binational is that we get to celebrate our moms and mom figures twice in the month of May. First on the second Sunday of the month of May, which is the U.S. celebration of Mother's Day, and then on May 10th, which is today, where mothers and mother figures are celebrated, honored in Mexico. Pásale por acá. Hello. But let's be clear, moms deserve to be celebrated every day. Las más jóvenes y las más, ay, qué hermosa. Y las más guapas también. Today, we're recognizing May 10th as Dia de las Madres in San Diego County. And I especially want to take a moment to recognize our immigrant and working mother figures that were at the front lines during the pandemic and our essential workers and caregivers. Our immigrant moms navigated a system that wasn't accessible, creating ways for them to build community and provide a good life to their children, and today we honor them. On this day, Dia de las Madres, I am especially proud to honor a special group of women, all mothers, grandmothers, community volunteers, and activists, particularly these women who founded in 1998 and housed at the Sherman Heights Community Center. Club de la Amistad promotes a healthy aging among seniors in our community with a variety of enriched activities such as Loteria, Golden Zumba, you should all go to the Golden Zumba, by the way, birthday celebrations, field trips, and more. Club de la Amistad members have served as volunteers during food distributions at special events at the center, as well as spend time with young kids during Head Start hours as part of intergenerational programming. Some of the Club de la Amistad members were mothers in the community who turned their love for their children and community into activism, organizing, and advocating until Sherman Heights Community Center became a reality in my district. En este día tan especial, Día de las Madres, es un placer, en nombre del Condado de San Diego, reconocer al Club de Amistad del Centro Comunitario de Sherman Heights por su amor y por su servicio a su comunidad de Sherman Heights. Y también honramos a todas las memorias, aquellas integrantes del club que ya no están con nosotros, pero tuvieron un gran impacto en nuestra comunidad. So therefore, on behalf of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors, we proclaim and recognize May 10, 2022 as Dia de las Madres throughout San Diego County. I'm going to ask Maria Guadalupe Niebla with Club de la Amistad to accept this proclamation and provide some remarks. Adelante.
Buenos días. Estoy en representación del grupo de los seniors del barrio Sherman en el centro comunitario. Tenemos muchos años ahí. He trabajado para la Gestar, cuando estuvo ahí el programa de Gestar. He trabajado con mi comunidad. Tengo muchos años viviendo ahí. 46 años tengo aquí en la misma casa. Conozco a todos los vecindarios. Y aquí estamos, jovencitas todavía, tratando de seguir adelante. Muchas gracias por este gran reconocimiento que nunca me lo esperaba. Así es que gracias a todos por escucharme. ¿Y qué puedo decir más? Thank you very much, everyone.
Hi, good morning. I would like to say that on behalf of the Sherman Heights Community Center, we're very happy to celebrate Mother's Day with this recognition from the Board of Supervisors. I'm thrilled to be able to spend time with the ladies and today to kick off our celebration honoring our abuelitas. So thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you all so much. Our next proclamation will be from Supervisor Joel Anderson, honoring EMS Week, and accepting this proclamation will be Chief Steve Swaney and Claudia Rempel, along with their team.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here today to recognize emergency medical services workers and volunteers who tirelessly serve our community. Although you're always on the front lines, whether you serve as an emergency medical technician, paramedic, dispatcher, doctor, nurse, pilot, firefighter, police officer, deputy, or as a support personnel, the service that you provided during the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic was nothing short of heroic. Our region owes you a debt of gratitude for your outstanding efforts, particularly during the past 2 years. As you may know, the National Emergency Medical Services Week was established by President Gerald Ford in 1974 to recognize the thousands of EMS professionals in America and how crucial they are to our community. Access to emergency medical services dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden injury or illness. Our regional EMS workers have saved the lives of countless residents and visitors across San Diego County. The theme of the National EMS Week this year is Rising to the Challenge, and is well suited because of the sacrifice you've made throughout COVID-19 pandemic. Now I'd like to read, I'm going to pull this. I could give that to you, Steve, to hold. I'd like to read the last paragraph, and says, by Chair, let it be proclaimed by Chair Nathan Fletcher and all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors that they commend the brave men and women of our region EMS system, and do hereby declare May 15th through the 21st, 2022 to be National Emergency Medical Service Week throughout San Diego County. Steve, if you'd like to say a few words, I'd love for you to do that. Claudia? I know one of you two are going to say something, I hope.
We're ready.
Good.
Thank you, Supervisor Anderson. Chairman Fletcher and members of the Board of Supervisors, on behalf of women and men of San Diego County's Emergency Medical Services System, I want to thank you for recognizing EMS Week here in San Diego. I'd like to acknowledge some important people we have with us today. Chief Steve Swaney of Heartland Fire and Rescue, Chief Mike Stein of the Encinitas Fire Department, Brent Lopez, REACH Program Director, Kevin Mercer, AMR's Regional Director, Paul Forney, AMR Operations Manager, and my colleagues and employees of AMR. As you know, our EMS system includes a vast team of professionals, EMTs, paramedics, dispatchers, doctors, nurses, pilots, firefighters, mechanics, and a support team whose sole focus is to care for San Diego County residents in need, and many on the worst day of their lives. They perform their duty with courage and professionalism every hour of every day. AMR is just one component of our EMS system. Our team works in diverse communities across the county, and we are privileged to partner with many incredible agencies to accomplish our mission of providing care at a moment's notice. Our commitment to the people of San Diego County is deep and wide, and over the last year, we've administered the COVID-19 vaccination to more than 7,000 residents, and we've worked with the county's Live Well programs to make San Diego a healthier community through a variety of initiatives. On behalf of the 700 employees of AMR and Reach San Diego and every other brave EMS professional, I would like to thank the Board of Supervisors for recognizing National EMS Week.
Good morning. I'll keep this real brief just because most of it's already been said. I just want to publicly thank AMR for their commitment to our communities and the service that they provide. It's a great example of a public-private partnership and really being able to be out there and deliver a high-quality product to the communities that we serve. So I thank all the men and women of AMR and all the positions that they held. There's a lot of stuff that has to go on behind the scenes to put the ambulances on the road. And there's been a lot of work and a lot of challenges over the last couple of years with the pandemic and staffing and working with offload delays at the hospitals and really trying to keep things staffed to provide the service to the community, and they've really risen to the occasion. And for that, I thank them for their partnership and for their service to our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2. Thank you.
Thank you all very, very much. Thank you. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Our next proclamation will be from Supervisor Lawson Reamer, honoring Ocean Beach Farmers Market 30-year anniversary, and accepting the proclamation will be Barbara Giacometti.
So it is my honor to recognize a beloved San Diego institution. The Ocean Beach Farmers Market has been a fixture in the heart of OB every Wednesday from 4 to 8 since the early 90s. The market features over 100 vendors, including certified farmers, artisans, and crafters. They serve food, hot food, cuisine from around the world, and you know it's fresh. The OB Farmers Market is certified through the California Department of Agriculture, making the produce we buy high in quality and great in taste. The OB Farmers Market was voted Best Farmers Market in California, wow, by Sunset Magazine in 2021, and I think anyone who has been there knows why. So tomorrow, the OB Main Street Association celebrates the 30th anniversary of the Ocean Beach Farmers Market. They invite you to stop by. They're unveiling a new logo, which is going to be on canvas bags. And so I really would like to just thank the OB Main Street Association, its leadership and members, and of course, all the San Diegans who have been making this farmers market such a success for 3 decades. They have been so welcoming to me and my staff and are part of what makes San Diego County one of the best places to live on earth. The County of San Diego is committed to recognizing and honoring organizations dedicated to the ideals of public service. The Ocean Beach Farmers Market is one such worthy organization. So now, therefore, be it proclaimed by Chair Fletcher and all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors that we commend Ocean Beach Farmers Market for its outstanding commitment to sustainability and the well-being of area residents, and declare the 11th day of May 2022 to be Ocean Beach Farmers Market Day throughout San Diego. Congratulations. We are joined by Barbara Giacometti to accept this proclamation on behalf of the OB Main Street Association.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for, I love the market. I can't even tell you how much I love that farmer's market.
Great, thank you. Well, good morning and thank you. I'm Barbara Iacometti, the president of the Ocean Beach Main Street Association. Thank you for acknowledging this milestone for our OB Farmers Market. We hope you all can join us tomorrow night, May 11th, from 4 to 8, to stroll and enjoy the 30th birthday of this great community event. Our eclectic open-air market and relaxed feel has made the OB Certified Farmers Market, located in the heart of Ocean Beach, the place to be on Wednesday evenings, rain or shine for the last 3 decades. Drop by the information booth where our team members can answer questions about the community and local merchants. Our organization is proud to host the Certified Farmers Market. This Department of Agriculture certification ensures high quality and fresh produce and is brought to the market and allows the community to experience a diverse market with the opportunity to meet the farmers and learn how their food supply is produced. The Ocean Beach Farmers Market has over 100 vendors, including certified farmers, artisans and crafters, prepackaged food, hot food featuring cuisine from around the world, and lots more. We are proud that many of our farmers market vendors have become successful brick and mortar owners as their businesses have grown. Again, many thanks for this wonderful proclamation. We are grateful for your support. Thank you. Thank you.
You need a photo.
One more right over here, please. Can I just get one more?
Yes, absolutely. One more.
Our next proclamation will also be from Supervisor Lawson Reamer and Supervisor Jim Desmond, honoring the Asian Business Association. And accepting that proclamation will be Jenny Burgess.
So it is my honor to present the following proclamation alongside Supervisor Desmond to recognize Small Business Week and the Asian Business Association. Last week was National Small Business Week. It's a week that celebrates the resiliency and tenacity of America's entrepreneurs. These folks are a huge part of San Diego's regional economy, as well as our nation's historic economic comeback. Today, we are also recognizing a local force for small businesses, the Asian Business Association. The Asian Business Association of San Diego was founded in 1990 to represent the interests of over 35,000 Asian Pacific Islander-owned businesses and entrepreneurs throughout San Diego County. They have supported these small businesses as they dealt and struggled throughout the pandemic. They are part of the San Diego and Imperial Small Business Development Center, and they provide no-cost advising and consulting services to so many businesses in our community. Our local association is among the most influential API organizations countywide and is a leader in public policy and advocacy for an inclusive economy that works for everyone. Last year, our board voted to support more than $30 million to support struggling small businesses. And the Asian Business Association has been a tremendous partner in these efforts. Thank you for being here, and I will now pass the floor to my colleague, Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, Supervisor Lawson Reamer. It's my pleasure to co-present this proclamation and recognize a key entity in our region supporting small business owners in San Diego County. And the Asian Business Association supports thousands of small businesses throughout the county. Their local economic impact is more than $5 billion, and they support nearly 90,000 jobs. Each year, the Asian Business Association Foundation provides outreach to high schools, colleges, and universities throughout San Diego County and invites local community leaders to assist in evaluating applicants based on their involvement and dedication and leadership in building a better community for all. So the County of San Diego, we are committed to recognizing and honoring these organizations that are dedicated to the best ideals of public service, and the Asian Business Association of San Diego is one such worthy organization. So therefore, be it proclaimed by all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors that we commend the Asian Business Association of San Diego County for its outstanding commitment to our region and well-being of the Asian Pacific Islanders, local businesses, and do hereby declare the week of May 9th to the 15th of 2022 to be Asian Business Association Small Business Week throughout San Diego County. So we have a proclamation for you, Jenny, right here. Congratulations on that. And would you like to, yes, please. So Jenny Burgess is the chairwoman of the Asian Business Association Board of Directors, and she's going to be accepting the proclamation. She's got a few words of wisdom for us today.
Thank you. Okay, since you can barely see me, okay. Good morning. Supervisor Desmond, Supervisor Lawson-Remer, Supervisor Fletcher, and the rest of the board, thank you so much. We truly, truly appreciate all of the support that you have provided to the Asian Business Association since 1990. We are honored that you are recognizing the week of May 9th through the 15th as Asian Small Business Association of San Diego County Small Business Week, especially as we honor this month, the month of May, is the Asian Pacific Heritage Month. So we thank you for that. Since 1990, been around for quite some time, we have served the San Diego small business community, specifically the small business, the Asian small business and Pacific Islander, through our advocacy, through our mentorship, through our technical assistance, through, our access to capital and help to the small business community, and so many, many more programs that we have provided. So that's been since 1990. And that's, the stats was read to you. It's been tremendous amount of work, and we are so pleased that we are able to provide that, of course, with all of the help of the supervisors behind me. So with that, I do hope that in the coming week, you would take the opportunity to come, visit, savor the culture of many of the Asian small businesses that is around this county. Again, it's my pleasure to accept this, and thank you so very, very, very much. Thank you.
All right, Jenny, you want to introduce who else is up here?
Oh, yes. You know, honestly, given all of the stats, you would think we are a staff of thousands. We're really a staff of a mighty few, and several more are out in the field doing work today. So let me introduce to you the rest of our staff. We have Lauren, and Lauren does tremendous in all of our programming. And Yvonne here is the right hand of everybody, in the office. And we have Jessica, who's also one of our counselors to the Small Business Development Center, who is also part of the Asian Business Association, part of the Alliance of Chambers. So, thank you.
Good, you're welcome, you're welcome. Thanks for stepping up and doing this.
Take a photo. Take your proclamation.
Smile.
Thank you all so much. Thank you very, very much. Congratulations. Our final proclamation today will be from Supervisor Desmond honoring County Peace Officer Day. And accepting this proclamation will be David Leonardi, head of the Deputy Sheriff's Association, and friends.
All right. Good morning, good morning. All right, we feel safe now. Well, good morning. It is with great pleasure that we have the county peace officers here with us today. We want to recognize them, our first responders, during Peace Officers Memorial Week. And I want to introduce some of the people that are here today for the County Peace Officer Associations, representing, you can wave when I get your name, the San Diego County District Attorneys, investigators, Brian Zemeski. There's Brian, okay. And then from the San Diego County Probation Officers Association, we have Shannon Edison, Sonia Sabelis, Angel Nunez. And from the Deputy Sheriff's Association, we have David Leonardi, Marlon McCurdy, and Timothy Richards. Also from the Public Assistance Investigators, we have Shannon Coleman, Benjamin DeVries, and Ruby Meja. Did I miss anybody? Huh?
Ashley Lewis.
Lewis, what's your last name?
Ashley Lewis.
Ashley Lewis. All right, big hand for Ashley. All right. Now, for everybody, and we're very proud of everything that they do. So a big welcome to our county peace officers. It's a great time, great that you could all be here. We want to recognize all of your hard work during Peace Officers Memorial Week. Last week, on May 4th, this building here was lit up in blue in honor of the annual Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Ceremony. And on May 15th, we'll also be lighting up this building in blue in honor of the County of San Diego County peace officers who serve this region. Since 1864, 88 local men and women from San Diego County lost their lives in the line of duty and are recognized on the Law Enforcement Memorial. It's right out in front, right in the park here as you go out the, well, you can't really go out, but out the front door of the building, just to the right and down here, there's a glass wall there, and it's got all 88 names of those who have perished in the line of duty, county peace officers, including Border Patrol, and from all the different departments of and Secret Service as well, are on that law enforcement memorial. This year, the name of Officer Daniel G. Walters from the San Diego Police Department was added to the memorial wall. Officer Walters was severely injured in the line of duty on November 21st of 2003. He was severely injured then, and he died on April 23rd of 2020. He was very severely injured in that incident. He was a very young officer at the time, in his 20s. On the memorial, there are 7 select words embedded in the glass panels that represent the group behind me and all of our county peace officers. They are integrity, honor, courage, sacrifice, duty, commitment, and loyalty, which all make up the characteristics of each one of the people behind me and every one of our departments here in San Diego County. We're very proud of the county peace officers here. I mean, every day should be County Peace Officers Day, but we want to acknowledge you during this week when we had the memorial out front and lighting up the building in blue this week as well. So the County of San Diego, we honor and appreciate all county peace officers who serve the citizens of San Diego County, including the Sheriff's Department, the probation officers, the district attorney investigators, the public assistance investigators, and our animal service officers. So therefore, be it proclaimed by all members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this 10th day of May 2020 that we commend the County of San Diego peace officers for outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to keeping San Diego County safer, and do hereby declare this day to be County of San Diego Peace Officers Days throughout San Diego County. We've got a lovely proclamation, I think, for each of the institutions that are up here. And now I want to introduce David Leonardi with the Deputy Sheriff's Association to say a few words. David.
Thank you, Supervisor Desmond and Board of Supervisors. I will be very brief. I don't know if today is going to be one of those 14 or 15-hour meetings, but if it is, it's not going to be because of us. I want to thank you guys all for your long-standing and ongoing commitment to public safety here in San Diego County and to recognizing and honoring those in law enforcement who have given the ultimate sacrifice. At the Sheriff's Department alone, we have Lonnie Brewer Memorial Highway along the 52. Lonnie was a deputy who was killed by a drunk driver, chasing a drunk driver in a vehicle collision. In East County, we've got a park dedicated to our last San Diego County Sheriff's deputy who was killed by gunfire over 30 years ago. It's been a long time now. But the county's always been there. And most importantly, we have this beautiful memorial on the west end of the building. I thank you guys so much for continuing to give us a home, to have our memorial, and to honor those that have given the ultimate sacrifice. People in law enforcement, those of us that have signed up for this job, we do this because of those words that Supervisor Desmond spoke: honor, sacrifice. Out of responsibility. We know that when we sign up to be law enforcement officers, we're never going to be very, very rich. We do this job just like many other county workers. I see all of you from SEIU in the purple shirts that serve our county every day, and we do this because we care about people, and we do it for the right reasons. And so I thank you guys for recognizing those sacrifices and appreciate the proclamation today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you to all of our peace officer and organizations. We appreciate you all being here. Thank you. Next on the agenda is non-agendized public communication. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board on matters which are not on today's agenda, but are within the purview or jurisdictions of the Board of Supervisors. The only action the Board of Supervisors may take is a referral to the Chief Administrative Officer. Reminder, according to Rule 4A, members of the public who are non-English speaking and need interpretation assistance will be allotted additional time to facilitate for translation. Again, reminder, this is non-agendized public communication. If you're here for an item that's on the agenda, we will have the opportunity to speak on that later. These are things that are not on today's agenda. And according to our rules of procedure, we will have 5 speakers in person and 5 via phone, and the remainder of the non-agendized public communication speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's agenda. Let me ask the clerk to call forward up to 10 non-agendized public speakers.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 47 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 22 in person and 25 requesting to speak by phone. For those that requested to speak via phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers, and as the chair indicated, we'll be calling the first 5 speakers. All the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. You will have 2 minutes to address the board. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Alan C., Crystal Irving, Lana Cotton, Robert Cotton, and Sarah Johnson. You may come forward in any order, and I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
All right, let's go.
Lana Cotton, quoting from the Brown Act, members of the public have broad constitutional rights to comment on any subject relating to the business of the governmental body. I have felt that the board has routinely predetermined what their positions will be before the meetings, and the constituents are being ignored. Quoting again from the Brown Act, one should be mindful of the ultimate purposes of the Act, to provide the public with an opportunity to monitor and participate in the decision-making processes of boards and commissions. I question if there are regular serial meetings taking place before the public meetings because of how 3 of the members consistently argue and vote in a block. If so, this is against the Brown Act. Quoting again from the Act, the purpose of the serial meeting prohibition is to prevent public bodies from circumventing the requirement for open and public deliberation of issues. If these communications are permitted to occur in private, a large part of the process by which members reach their decisions may have occurred outside the public eye. Under these circumstances, the public would be able only to witness a shorthand version of the deliberative process, and its ability to monitor and contribute to the decision-making process would be curtailed. It is obvious that we are not involved in this process, and you want it to remain so. However, we the people will not stand for business as usual. We have a right to monitor and participate in the decision-making process. We are awake and watching. I would like to close with words of President Donald J. Trump. There's no mountain we cannot climb. There is no summit we cannot reach. There is no challenge we cannot meet. There is no victory we cannot have. We will not bend. We will not break. We will not yield. We will never give in. We will never give up. We will never, ever, ever back down as long as we are confident and united. The tyrants we are fighting do not even have a small chance of victory because Americans kneel to God and to God alone. Just for you, Kevin Stevenson.
Next speaker, please.
All right, we're going to go through this now. The rules of procedure when we get into non-agendized public communication and when we get into agenda items, according to the rules of procedure, there is no clapping, there is no outburst. I want everyone in this chamber to have the opportunity to come down here and say whatever it is you would like to say on topic, or in this case, not on agenda. But as a body, we're going to get through this following the rules. Now, we all know we've been through this before. I want us to finish the day all in here. But if we have violations of the rules, then we will enforce the rules of procedure as drafted and put in place. So please, there are no outbursts or clapping once we get into the agenda part of the meeting and public comment. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Nathan Fletcher and the Board of Supervisors. My name is Sarah Johnson. I've been with the county for almost 19 years, and I've worked that whole time at Edgemore Hospital in Santee. I'm here during Nurses Week to let you know that while we're appreciative of the 4% increase, we need more. 4 is not enough. We have nurses and nurses assistants that are leaving in droves, or they won't even apply. We work short-staffed, and this leads the patients to be frustrated. Their behaviors increase, and it's very difficult for the staff to be able to care for these patients. We strive to do our best, and we don't want to settle for less than that. We would love to have the county help to retain and recruit good nurses. We're not getting any nurses with experience, only new nurses, and we're having to help them, which takes away from time we have on the floor when we're short-staffed. If nothing else, please remember today during Nurses Week that we need more than 4. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Chair Fletcher and Board of Supervisors. My name is Crystal Irving, and I'm so proud to stand before you as president of SEIU Local 221. I'm here before you again, along with the sea of purple in the chambers, to push for a strong contract. Once again, you've heard from one of our members about why this contract is so important, and my hope is that next time I'm standing here, it will be to celebrate a great agreement for employees and a victory for the communities that we serve. The last proposal that we have from the county is not good enough to reach that agreement, and that's why we are here to say that a strong contract begins with more than 4. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The county's opening package is much better than where we ended in the 2017 negotiations. And the county negotiators are actually negotiating and not dictating the process. But the fact remains that to come to an agreement, we need the county to move in a few areas. We need higher across-the-board wages, and definitely more than 4 in that first year to address the current inflation. We need to address the damage of Tier D. We also need premiums and steps to deal with recruitment and retention issues. So I'm here today to present you with our petition. Now, we launched this petition on Thursday night after our contract action team meeting, and we lost count somewhere around 2,500 signatures. And so our members have signed it to demand more than 4. Please review our offer today and send your team back to the table with not just more than 4, but with the deal. Because for us, a strong contract begins with more than 4. I will leave these signatures with the clerk after I combine some more hand signatures that just made it to our desk. So thank you so much.
Nope. Next speaker.
Good morning, Mr. Front. You should see the English Parliament, sir. I wish we were like that, where it's open forum, people clap, people get involved. But again, it's your board. Last week, or a week and a half ago, the Supreme Court...
Can you please state your name for the audio?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. I keep forgetting. I apologize. My name's Alan C.
Thank you.
When the Supreme Court leaked last week, the Roe versus Wade, it's not decided till June. And yet, the board here, first off, the Roe versus Wade, if it does get overturned, all does go back to the states. California will be pro-abortion, and it's a very emotional issue. But I do ask this board, why would you cause hysteria? Why would you go out there and gin up the crowd? If anybody should be ginned up, it should have been the pro-lifers, not the people who's pro-abortion. But to gin up the crowd and have churches overrun and have justices gone after something that's not even taking effect till June, and we don't know what's going to happen. And again, California will remain. And again, me as a pro-lifer, I should be the one out there screaming and yelling. And yet, here we have Chair Vargas, Chair Fletcher, you're out there ginning the crowd up to actually get people emotional, riled up, when you know the state is going to remain abortion. So please, you're responsible for thousands and thousands of people. Let's not divide society like that. It is so wrong what happened this last week. And you look at what happened in LA Church when people went in there taking away the right to freedom. And you're also going against 18 U.S.C. 1503, and also the freedom of access, 1994, against the churches. Second slide, please. I'm a pro-lifer. That baby was born 6 months, and yet that baby survived. Do you feel the heartbeat? Do you feel the kick? Look into your hearts of when the life begins, please. Thank you so much.
Next speaker, please.
Robert Cotton. Good morning, board. Hope to get a little clarification. I have some questions for you. When you're about to vote on a proposed ordinance, why is it so hard for the public to find a final draft of that ordinance? You'll be voting on a proposed ordinance later today. It is not prominently presented on the county website. The proposed budget for next year is prominently displayed on the county website, which is great. Where is the final document you will be voting on today? I was just lucky to find the preliminary draft with lots of red print, including 2 pages out of the 8 pages that say, after public forums in March 2022, the following categories may be modified and or further fleshed out. I was just lucky enough to find this on the website of Peace Law, the place where one of the committee members works. It was after a deep dig, very well hidden on the website of the law firm Peace Law. Why so secretive? Why an ordinance instead of a resolution? Why an ordinance instead of a resolution? You were happy to make resolutions on misinformation and county being a refuge for abortions, etc. Why the secrecy?
Hey, sir, it's right there on the website. We just pulled it up right here. You click on media agenda, and then all of the agendized.
And where is that available?
So it's on the website right here. We'll have someone.
Which website?
The county website, where you go to get the list of the agenda. There's all the agendized materials, and then there's a big hyperlink right there to the actual text of the ordinance. But we can have.
When was that? When was that?
The same as all of the other materials, sir. We follow the Brown.
When was that? When was the final draft posted?
They're posted last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday.
That's when
did it include the red letter
all right, your time's
edition?
up. Take a seat. Next speaker. It's
now hear
readily
from those,
available on the website. Next speaker.
We'll now hear from those who requested to speak by phone. Again, we'll be hearing from the first 5 callers. The remaining callers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'll remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll begin with our first caller.
Drusilla Willis. Hello and good morning, Chair Fletcher and the Board of Supervisors. My name is Drusilla Willis, and I am an SEIU County Union Employees Chapter President, and I have worked for the County of San Diego for almost 20 years. I am a member of SEIU 221, and I am here asking for a fair contract and a livable wage. The county's offer is more than last contract, and this is wonderful, but your offer is stuck at 4% in the first year, and we really need more than 4%. This contract is important to me because I have been here for the last 20 plus years, and along with my coworkers, we have suffered. What a breath of fresh air when we got majority on that board. Come on now. We know you guys know what we've been through for the last 30 years. Everyone suffered, the employees and the residents of San Diego County. We know that you care about all residents just based on all that you have done so far for us. So please move on from the 4%. With gas and food so expensive, the move from 4 would be best. I got gas this morning. It cost me $72, and I wasn't even on empty. Nothing is getting cheaper at this point. Everything is expensive. I thank you for listening. And when you look at our proposal, remember that we need more than 4. 6 or 5 will keep us alive. Or 7 or 8, we would be straight. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from our next caller.
Good morning. My name is Robin Booker. I'm a senior cook with the Sheriff's Food Services Department, and I'm an SEIU 221 member. Our department is now at a critical time regarding resources such as safety, staffing, and pay inequities. We are on the front lines of it all. The pandemic has weeded out the lucky from the not so lucky in regards to exposure, in regards to staffing, and in regards to fair wages. We need more than 4. Our particular classification has been understaffed and underpaid in comparison to fellow counties. People are looking for a base pay and premiums that can actually sustain the cost of living and inflation in San Diego. Please remember us. Please reward our sacrifice and dedication to the county and to our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Terry Ann Skelly. Later in the agenda, item 20 will be discussing a tax on marijuana businesses. I support taxing the 5 marijuana businesses already operating in the county. I chose to speak in public comment this morning because I read the language of the board letter. I'm surprised by the wording that describes a future marijuana business ordinance to, and I quote, allow for a variety of commercial cannabis uses to help rectify the injustices caused by the war on drugs, end quote. I am mystified that the Board of Supervisors seems to feel that reparations to communities of color who were disproportionately educated for crimes, some of which were drug crimes, should include owning a marijuana business. Yet our communities of color who have asked for community centers whose programs would be free and well advertised, community parks kept clean, and traffic lights and road repairs, and easily available and fully stocked grocery stores. And the kicker is that they have fought not to have obnoxious liquor stores, tobacco stores, and pop shops in the neighborhood because it undermines the quality of health and well-being in the community. Because it especially undermines the young people who seek remedies for their stress and concerns at this most vulnerable time of their lives by suggesting that alcohol, tobacco, and marijuana are answers to life's very difficult times and problems.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Chair Fletcher. This is Michelle Krug and the rest of our board. My first comment is about the proclamation. That is on the agenda and should be an agenda item that someone can speak to. I really appreciate that you gave the proclamation to the Sherman Center that is really a core in in the community of Barrio Logan. And I do appreciate that, but that should not take away from non-agenda public comments, especially when they are only limited to 5 on the phone. So I hope that that will get rectified by the next meeting. I do want to speak also about the lack of accessibility for people who are blind or have only one internet device in terms of accessing the meetings, because I'm in a situation where I still need to call and get somebody in the clerk's office to answer the phone and to sign me up for me to be able to access this. It should be like MTS and Sandag and the city of San Diego. There's a bunch of entities that are making it very easy, that it's independent and anybody can just call in or go on Zoom. In this case, I'm not able to access the actual meeting itself except through the phone. So again, I as someone who also serves on your Persons with Disabilities committee, and I've been bringing this up for the last couple of years, I would really love to help change that and to make it easier for people moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from our final caller this morning.
Good morning. My name is Barbara Gordon. As a public health educator, understanding how substance abuse affects our mental health is vital. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood through adulthood. This month is an opportunity to bring awareness to the relationship of drug use and mental health challenges, particularly associated with marijuana use. The overwhelming consensus from mental health professionals is that marijuana is not helpful for people with mental illness. Using marijuana can directly worsen symptoms of anxiety, depression, schizophrenia through its action on the brain. The relationship between marijuana and psychotic illness, specifically schizophrenia, has been studied for many years. And we know that not everyone that smokes marijuana develops schizophrenia, but as we have normalized and commercialized the use of marijuana, it has greatly decreased the perception of risk to using marijuana. Marijuana is advertised to reduce stress, anxiety, or other mental health conditions. As the board looks to permit marijuana businesses, I would urge the board to consider the relationship between marijuana use and good mental health. The question needs to be asked, will marijuana business help as the county looks for a long-term solution to problems related to addiction and homelessness that can all be interrelated? Thank you.
Thank you. And Chair Fletcher, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. Again, all the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is approval of the Statement of Proceedings minutes for the regular meeting of April 26, 2022. I'll make a motion to approve. Is there a second? There is a second by Vice Chair Vargas. Please vote.
Chair Fletcher, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
We'll now proceed with the formation of our consent calendar. Members of the public will have the opportunity to speak on the consent calendar after supervisors have had the opportunity to comment and or remove any items that they wish to move to discussion items. We will begin with Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. On item 8, I just want to thank my co-chair and colleague, Vice Chair Vargas, for the outstanding job and how easy it was to work with her to accomplish the goals. I want to thank the county staff. They stepped up in a big way. We took on a big bite of trying to address transparency. And I think that as we vote on this today, you'll see that staff and all of us put in a lot of hard work to make it happen. So thank you for that. I'd like to pull items 9 and 15. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Lawson-Remer.
Thank you. Well, first, I just want to really thank all of my colleagues. I think there's a lot of good work represented on this consent calendar, including the transparency item brought forward by my colleagues, Supervisor Vargas and Supervisor Anderson. So thank you so much on that. And I also just want to take a moment to comment on item 4, which is around the youth opportunity passes, which I'm just so excited about. I think it's so important to be investing in young people and people's ability to explore our community. And it's just such an important investment for our region and for our young people who otherwise often don't have access to a lot that San Diego has to offer, including ability sometimes even to get to school. So thank you to my colleagues for your work on that. And again, particularly to Vice Chair Nora Vargas for your work on SANDAG and moving that forward within SANDAG. So thank you. It's really wonderful. I just want to take a moment on item 3. I've had a couple questions. This is the item around supporting care coordination for justice-involved individuals through funding and integrated data infrastructure. I had some questions just to from some of the public and some other folks around whether this would limit our ability to seek funding for other CalAIM initiatives beyond just the one indicated. That's absolutely not the intent. It's just to get us moving in one direction, but certainly the intent is to be able to seek funding for CalAIM initiatives broadly. So the question for the CAO is whether it would be sufficient to, I could either make a clarifying comment, or I have an amendment approved by County Council that I could add, or I could pull from the consent calendar. So just let me know what would be convenient.
Thank you, Supervisor. The clarifying comment is absolutely perfect.
Okay, well, I will reiterate that I strongly hope and support our staff in taking initiative to seek every and all opportunities to access funding, state and federal funding, particularly through CalAIM waivers. I think there's a lot of opportunity out there. This particular opportunity is one we identified that's in line with the work that we've been doing, but there will be and continue to be other opportunities. And please, staff, let's do that. Let's go get the money we can.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Lawson-Remer. Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have no items to comment. They were already pulled. And I'll make a motion to approve the balance of the consent calendar.
All right, Vice Chair Vargas.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. And thank you for making the clarification on item number 3. I think it's a very important item, and absolutely support that we're going after additional dollars. Item number 4, absolutely thrilled that that we are headed in this direction. I want to just thank the team for all their work on this particular issue on the youth opportunity passes, because it's not just a free ride, but they also bring security and stability to the lives of a lot of our students, and it removes barriers to access to education, work, and recreational activities, and that they would not have otherwise. And so I'm just really, really excited about this pilot program. Continue to ask folks to make sure that they use it. And I have to say that I'm going to continue to advocate for it so that we can continue to make sure that our 10 colleges and that our community colleges and universities throughout the region also have the opportunity later on to be a part of this process as well. And then on item number 8, it was my pleasure also to work with Supervisor Anderson. I'm really grateful about the work that we were able to achieve together through the Transparency Committee. We did a lot of vital work for our communities. We really, I think, took a deep dive into some of these issues and reviewed county policies and procedures. And I want to thank Andrew and the rest of his team for all the great work, and Ebony and the rest of the folks. It was just a lot of work, but it was really meaningful work. So there's nothing more important to make sure that the county is accessible and that we're going to continue to foster public engagement and government accountability with this. And then last but not least, on item number 12, the approval of additional capital projects for fiscal year 2022-2023. I really just want to say thank you to the GGS staff for bringing an updated capital projects. It's important that these capital projects investments are centered around equity. And for our communities in the South Bay, it's, simple bathrooms are going to make a really big difference for the 250 families that use, the Little League program down there. And then also the Tijuana River Valley Regional Park, Active Rec and Community Park have been empty for years, and South Bay has not received enough resources for that district. So I think it's going to make a huge difference, especially for the summer. We want to make sure that our young kids are out there in the community. So with that, I'm happy to second the motion, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Vargas. I don't have any items to pull. I want to echo the comments on item 3, our appreciation of the staff on the CalAIM process. The CalAIM process has been underway for many, many years, and when you look at the number of lives that are touched by Medi-Cal in San Diego County and across California, this CalAIM process, in combination with the reprocurement, the 1115B waiver, everything else we're doing, has tremendous potential to really transform a significant system of care. The realignment of the number of plans, getting out of the geographic managed care system, the implementation of community service and enhanced case management, and all the various components that are going to get implemented, I think have tremendous potential to really help us get to the root cause of wellness and health, and investing in not only mental health and substance abuse, but overall health for up to a third of San Diego population, almost 1 million lives. And so I think that this is an important effort, and there are also opportunities in the path funding. Not only for justice-involved youth, vitally important justice-involved folks, but for other folks as well. And so our efforts to really continue full speed in the CalAIM process, in the reprocurement process, working on individual programs like PATH, I think are things that will have positive impacts for decades and decades to come afterwards. And so really appreciative of everyone who's involved in that. Want to commend Vice Chair Vargas on agenda item number 4, youth opportunity passes. As the chair of MTS, we're grateful for the leadership shown at Sandag and here at the county to your leadership in making these available. This is a wonderful thing. It is now in place for all transit in San Diego County. Youth 18 and under can ride for free. And this not only helps our youth get to a part-time job or get to school or where they need to go, but it also helps create generations of transit riders and users. And so we will have to find a way to secure ongoing funding to make it a permanent program, but I think it's important. I also just want to share at MTS, we are supporting a 1-year extension of the program for foster youth up to age 24 to make sure that they can also be covered in this program. So a lot of good things. On agenda item 14, I want to thank Caroline Smith and the team for helping us work to really secure some additional federal funding. A special thank you to Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs for fighting for these funds and spearheading our effort to be able to advance in child care capacity and secure federal funding to help us. We know that the lack of access to quality, affordable child care is a real limiting factor for folks reentering the workforce and being able to enter the workforce. We also know that it's one of the most important things we can do to prepare kids to start at grade level and address issues of equity. Early childhood education, quality, affordable child care is a vital component of what we're doing, and I think the efforts to secure these funds and deploy them is a good thing, and I want to commend everyone who's been involved in that effort. With that, we have a motion and a second. I want to point out to members who signed up to speak on consent calendar, if you are here to speak on item 9 or you are here to speak on item 15, those will be taken up as individual items. So if you're here to speak on CEDAW, this is not the time at which you come to the podium to speak. We will have a standalone presentation and discussion on that item, and that will be the time in which you will come. So items 9 and 15 have been pulled from the consent calendar and will be taken up individually. With that being said, I'm going to ask the clerk to call forward the speakers who would like to speak to the remaining items that are on consent. But again, if you're prepared to speak on 9 or 15, we're going to have you take a seat and wait until that item comes up. If you're here to speak about something else on consent calendar, then we will now call you forward, and the conclusion of that, we will vote.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. For the remaining items on consent, we have 22 speakers, 8 in person and 14 by phone. Any members of the public that request to speak on the remaining items on the consent calendar, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. If you're calling to speak on items 9 or 15, please wait until those items are heard. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Zachary Brand, Robert Cotton, Alan C., Audra, Jessica Williams, and Paul Hankin. I'll call the remaining speakers after we hear from those individuals. If your name is called, please come forward and state your name. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board.
Hi, good morning, Supervisors. My name is Zachary Brott. I'm a regional planner with Sandag, and I'm here today with with Senior Planner Brian Lane to offer Sandag's support of the counties of San Diego's participation in the Youth Opportunity Pass program. I've been involved in the planning and implementation of this project since last summer, and we at Sandag were really excited to see it launch this week. I was just on the way to the Padres game downtown last night, and I saw a kid get on the bus right before me, and it said youth free. It was really fun to see our project at work. And so we would not be here today without the tireless activism of the parents and grandparents in City Heights and throughout the rest of the county for the past 15 years, who have been advocating for better opportunities for their children. And I'd like to especially thank Supervisor Vargas for sponsoring this effort, as well as county staff, especially Rosa and Kimberly, who are working with us to make sure that the program is successful. And I thank the Board of Supervisors for their support of the program. We're so happy to be able to provide over a year of free transit to our region's youth, and we're excited to see what opportunities that they'll be able to connect to because of it. This program, as was mentioned, will help kids get to school, allow our high schoolers to get a job or an internship, to prepare them for a future career, and even they'll just allow our youth to get to the beach on the weekend or do something fun with their friends. We look forward to continuing to work with the county to continue our social equity work and make sure that our transportation system becomes more accessible to everyone in our region over the coming years. We're available to answer any technical questions about the program should they come up. And thank you again for your time and for your support of this important program for our county's youth.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, I'm Paul Hinken. Hi, Supervisors and Helen. This is about your abuse of power. The number of items of importance to the community which should be up for public discussion and not buried in the consent calendar seems to keep growing. A proposed ordinance, whether on the second reading, the third reading, or at any time, if it affects the rights of people, individuals, it should never be tagged as an administrative matter and shoved into the consent calendar with limited opportunity for debate. People might realize from the speeches at the first reading what a bad bill this is and not know their position until the second reading. To limit their speech in chambers beforehand is to invite protests on the streets afterwards. This should not happen in a civil society. This corrupt and unconstitutional practice needs to be stopped now. Comments. Number 8, promoting government transparency. I believe in transparency, by the way, but the overview says the proposed changes include establishment of a 2-year county email auto-delete policy. I strongly oppose auto-delete of emails after 2 years or any years. This does not promote transparency. It establishes possible deletion of evidence before the actual statute of limitations expires. The board is guilty of misuse of taxpayer funds, promoting false emergency, and so on.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you. Next speaker,
Thank you for listening.
I'll remind the speakers if you could please identify which item on consent you're speaking on. Thank you.
Hi, this is Jessica Williams. I'm speaking to item number 4. So I'm excited to be here with my fellow constituents. I'm now a part of District number 4 in Nathan Fletcher's district, previously in Joel's district until the recent redistricting efforts. We feel in that area that the redistricting efforts were an effort to split the conservative vote. Either way, a little bit more about me. So I'm a leader of a fairly large department at a company that's headquartered here in San Diego. This company is talking about moving to Arizona, like many other companies in California, just due to how businesses are ran here and our inability to make a profit. However, I'm one of those that wants to stay here. I'm born and raised from San Diego. My parents are from San Diego. Lyft drivers say that I'm a unicorn because everyone leaves California. But I remember when this state was a golden state. We're excited to take it back. Nathan, you've stopped the ability for your constituents to comment on your public social media. I would assume as the chair of this board and a leader in District 4 that you would have had received some leadership training. I myself would have been fired if I stopped the ability for those that I lead to be able to provide feedback and comment. So it's disgusting that you've not allowed us to speak to you directly. I think when we look at all these items, it's important to look at it as a whole. SB 866 was passed last Thursday, and now we are handing out bus passes to minors and making it easier for minors to transport themselves across the county. This is only going to enable more child trafficking, and we're really doing everything that we can to coerce youth to take an experimental drug that's causing athletes to jump off the field, kids to develop heart issues like myocarditis, women to become sterile, and young people to have strokes as well. We see what you're doing. It's not okay. God and your constituents are watching. We do not consent and we do not comply.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Audrey, you guys are so freaking disturbing. You're sitting there laughing at stuff. Why, Nathan, you don't? All right, so yeah, like, let's put all these in the consent because then nobody can discuss it. You got your DA military weapons that you're going to use against the people, property tax exchange that you're taking $1.8 million from Ramona and giving it to San Diego. You are supporting Care for Justice involve individuals by experimenting on them and using pilot or demonstration projects. That's a disgrace. The whole youth transportation thing, I mean, they just passed SB 866 so kids can get vaxxed without their parental consent. Now you're going to allow them to travel all over the county without any parental consent or just somebody watching them. So what's the youngest age? Can like a 2-year-old go on the bus and just go wherever they want to a pedo's house and, you know, be child trafficked? It's so great. And you're probably going to be like, you know what, you can go get vaccinated too without your parents' consent. We'll take you just like you did with the homeless. Then you've got more money that you just want to spend all these ARPA funds because you guys love keeping us in an emergency so that you can do that. You want to get rid of HIV because you want to go to a zero initiative for STDs. How about you stop vaccinating people with HIV in it? Then maybe you would be able to stop it. The fact that you are talking about transparency and access to, you know, all of these things, you guys are not transparent. You're totally brushing everything under the rug. You don't follow your own rules. The fact that you want to auto-delete your emails, no freaking wonder, because people want to know what they're in those, and you don't want to share that because you guys are corrupt as all get out. And yeah, you guys are just a work of art. It's great. I love it because you know, don't want people to talk about anything. Let's put every item under consent so that the people can't redress. That is unconstitutional. Everything that you guys do is unconstitutional.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll call the remaining speakers in person, Mark Dorian and Natalie Hayes.
Hi, Alan C. I concur with Audrey. Every one of these items need the 2 minutes. Okay, let me see if I can rattle through this. Item 2, fire, moving funds over. My concern is the taxpayer. Will later on the agencies that get robbed, will they say, we need another bond increase, we need another tax increase? Consider that when you start moving funds around. Also, fire protection, as I said before, bury the power lines. Put the money in that, have fire prevention instead of putting money into more firefighting. Okay, let me, thank you for bringing these, let me use these sheets, but I'm gonna go to the PDF here. If I can ever get it open. I'll just go by the top of my head. Okay, I'm gonna jump ahead to the MTS. We were promised since 1987 roads, not toll roads, not shared lanes, but roads. Transnet, since 1987, we've been paying half-cent sales tax. This is going on to when, 2084? And yet you want to put more money into empty buses with new taxes fall, and now you're having kids free ride to say, oh, we got the buses filled now, even though we look outside, empty bus, empty bus, empty bus. Yeah, you want to buy more empty buses, electric buses that for that mess down in Chula Vista with electric charges. How much did it cost us? Stop it already. My daughter will never ride your bus working the graveyard shift. It's unsafe. That's why I got her a secondhand truck. Realize that nobody wants to ride your truck, and as the electric car takes over, they need roads, not bike lanes and bus lanes. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Robert Cotton. I'd like to address item 8, transparency. You're going to vote on a social engineering ordinance later on today. The final draft, I'm told from a reliable source, has been posted last Wednesday. I'm sure each one of the 5 of you have deliberated on it individually, in private, of course, individually, right? You've come before this body and you're going to talk about it amongst yourselves in public, correct? Your county has 21,000 employees. By the way, 60% of them are females, 40% are males. And in a upcoming ordinance, it's proposed to do an intersectional gender analysis. I would imagine you're going to start with each of your 21,000 employees. How long is that going to take? And what is it going to cost? Is there a projected budget for that intersectional gender analysis? Just wondering.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Natalie Hayes. I want to speak in opposition of the transportation for the kids. I feel like I'm in a twilight zone. Are we really talking about kids traveling on transportation alone? How young, as Audra said? As I stated 2 weeks ago, I have watched children be loaded onto school buses to and from a hotel in Mission Valley. I hope parents are listening. My concern is trafficking. Now you want them to have access to transportation for school, work, etc. This, on its own, may seem okay, but when you look at the direction California has gone with SB 145, just read that. SB 145 says, currently adults who are convicted of having oral or anal sex with a minor under those circumstances are automatically added to the state's sex offender registry. SB 145 will eliminate automatic sex offender registration in those cases. That's the first problem. Now our wonderful government has defunded the ICAC, Internet Crimes Against Children's Task Force. My red flags are going up everywhere. All this does is make it easier for the pedophiles to have access to kids. And you do this all under the guise of protecting the poor and the underserved. So I would be remiss if I didn't read you a Bible verse. Psalm 82:3, defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. You are doing exactly the opposite. Under the guise of protecting them, you are making them victims. Thank you.
Thank you. Final call for Mark Dorian. When I hear from those that requested to speak by phone, again, if you are requesting to speak on the remaining items on consent, that's all the items with the exception of items 9 and 15, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. For the callers, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll begin with our first caller.
My name is Eleanor, and I just wanted to say how clever of you to lump all of these very important subjects into 2 minutes. As an immigrant woman, I feel totally discriminated against that I have 2 minutes to speak about so many important items. I want to address a couple of them because obviously there's no time to talk about all of them. The one is the fire protection that you, Jim Desmond, and Joel Anderson decided to author. In my opinion, you are no better than Nora, Nathan, or Tara. You've decided to introduce a plan to spray toxic fire retardants on the brush. We know that these toxic fire retardants, besides being hazardous to humans, are going to decimate plants, going to kill the bees, stop plants from growing, and infect water. We know this is your plan, but I'd like to know from you how you think your own families are going to escape this toxic breathing in this toxic air and having no healthy food or water to consume. What a legacy you're leaving for your children and your grandchildren. Is this what your master puppeteer, Klaus Schwab, has commanded you to do? And Tara, why are you so incredibly concerned about the well-being of incarcerated individuals, yet you don't care at all about the people in your district, in the district you serve. Remember, serve is the operative word. You want to steal our tax dollars under the guise of caring for individuals, yet you'll only drag them down Big Pharma's road, give them vaccine-induced autoimmune diseases, and then keep them paid for by you and our tax dollars and support Big Pharma. Is this what you're all about? And finally, I oppose everything this board does because we don't trust you, we don't believe you, we know that you are liars and you are self-serving. Just the way you patted each other on the back this morning about how easy it was to work with each other. Of course it's easy for you to work together. You all have the same agenda. People have
Thank you. Your time is up. Now hear from the next caller.
Truth. Item 3 will allow convicted criminals to leech off taxpayer-funded health programs like Medi-Cal. It's no surprise to see the program called Transforming Health. The supervisors are eager to pass item 3 because there's up to $400,000 waiting to be scooped up. Item 4. If you supervisors agree that your COVID lockdown measures ruin people's lives, then why do you keep us in a state of emergency? And second, why would children be allowed to use the buses and trolleys for free when it's their parents who go to work on public transportation? The amount of crazy, homeless, beggars, drunks, and violence that happens without any security is something that only people who've ridden understand. More people not paying for use of transit will only make things worse and put children at an extreme risk. Item 10 is Joel Anderson spending a total of over $1 million of taxpayer money in one day. Item 12, at least $294 million will be spent to acquire even more land. You guys are becoming land monopolists. At least $500,000 is going to be spent for a memorial to COVID deaths. No memorial for the COVID shot deaths, of course. And at least $5 million to build only 3 community gardens. Item 14, Qualcomm daughter Sarah Jacobs has requested $1 million to create a child care expansion fund. I don't think anyone can believe that Sarah cares about children when she's been endorsed by Run Women Run because she believes in taxpayer-funded abortion for children without parental knowledge. Item 14 says, as the emergency continues, the challenges and inequities continue as well. No families can have healthy outcomes because you supervisors have done this damage.
Thank you. We'll now return to our in-person speaker, Mark Dorian.
Thank you, Mark. Regarding one, the military oversight, the group that you're going to have oversee it, is headed by Summer Stephan, or she'll have a lot to do with it. That doesn't seem very, it doesn't make me feel very secure since she's ignored her duties as the county district attorney, some of which are so blatantly obvious. For instance, the misinformation, the health misinformation ordinance that you guys passed is a direct violation to the First Amendment, as direct as it could possibly be. And straight, not something like, but straight out of 1984, the Ministry of Truth. It couldn't be any more of a violation. It's not possible. If you paid someone $1 million, they couldn't make a violation worse. And she's not doing anything about it. So I have very little confidence that she'll do much to stop the fact that the military weaponry being provided to the police, they're being funded by the federal government. It's military equipment. Posse Comitatus directly says that that's not to be allowed. It's all in the Constitution. It's such a direct violation. And I'm not confident she's going to stop it. There's nothing written in any of your paperwork saying that they're going to have anybody looking at the programming of these drones that'll just be in our society, just the way they'll be used, like after they're used. There's so many things. And of course, I'm running out of time because you've illegitimately given us no time on each agenda item, which is an absolute crime, as usual.
Thank you. We'll now return to the final caller.
Hi, good morning. This is Janine Ericat. I'm a policy associate at the Partnership for Advancement of New Americans. I want to thank you all for your dedication and continued service and making sure that all county meetings are accessible to all San Diegans. I'm really just calling in today to thank the San Diego, to thank Chair Anderson and Chair Nora Vargas for their work on the Transparency Subcommittee and for making sure that there will be more accessibility to the community through improved language services, tools that foster public participation. And lastly, I wanted to say that in conjunction with this transformative plan to improve language access, I urge the BOS to increase funding to $20,000 to the San Diego County Registrar of Voters for enhanced language access for the Somali community as part of this effort with the transparency community. San Diego's Somali community requires language access services in order to fully participate in our democracy and weigh in on issues that affect the community. We're really looking forward to see this transition to vote centers, and I deeply appreciate your efforts in public services. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chair Fletcher, that concludes the request to speak on the remaining items on the consent calendar.
A motion by Supervisor Desmond, second by Vice Chair Vargas. Please vote.
Chair Fletcher, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
We're going to go to our first discussion item today, Agenda Item 9, promoting civic engagement through boards, committees, and commissions, an item brought forward by Supervisor Lawson-Remer. Let me ask Supervisor Lawson-Remer if you have any introductory comments you would like to make.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I think I just first of all want to thank county staff for your thoughts and help on this. You know, over the last year and a half working on boards and commissions, it's really come to our attention of my team that there's a lot more we can do to promote civic engagement, to make sure the process is transparent and accessible for everyone. And just really doing our part as we move the county in a new direction to ensure that we have really robust avenues for transparent public participation through our boards and commissions. So again, I think a lot of the credit for this work goes as well, not just to my team, but to county staff, who's really been incredibly instrumental in identifying just some of the process changes that we could make to improve the way that boards and commissions operate at the county. And if there's thoughts or concerns to further that intent, I'm more than happy to have a conversation about that.
All right, let me ask the clerk to call forward the speakers on this item.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 12 requests to speak on this item, 5 in person and 7 by phone. Also note for the record that we received 1 e-comment in favor of this item. Any members of the public that requested to speak on item 9 by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. All speakers are in opposition to this item. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward Jason Robo, Paul Henkin, Jessica Williams, Audra, and Alan C. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Hi, good morning again, Alan C. Are we talking about censorship here? Promoting civic engagement through boards, committees, and commissions. This needs to be further studied before we just say, yeah, let's do it. Because here we're talking about possibly censorship of what's allowed to be spoken, what's not allowed to be spoken. I mean, look, this morning we had all the union members out there. Where is the public access when all these union members with badges can get in the door ahead of the line and sign in? Jim Desmond, please take the action on that. That union members who are not on the clock to get priority line for non-public agenda items. It's not right for anybody to get in front of the line. So there is one thing if you're talking about promoting civic engagement for all the people to speak. But again, I'm going back to the civic engagement. Elon Musk bought Twitter. Within a couple days later, we have the Ministry of Truth brought by President Biden. The European Union, a couple of days later, also set up a ministry of truth. Is this the San Diego County Ministry of Truth? Please do not vote on this until it's studied further, and don't just look at the flyer words up front, because we need the Brown Act, not only for the people out here, but the people behind that counter up there, that you all need to be able to speak your complete mind without being restricted by any civic engagement board committee, because you've got to be able to speak on any item, anything, even cuss words if that brings a point across. There's no such thing as hate speech when it comes to First Amendment. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Paul Henkin again. My thanks to Joel, by the way, for pulling this item for separate discussion. This is one of the several items that I actually wrote to the board suggesting they pull for public discussion. On this item, a lot of people seem to want to discuss this. I mean, the number of people who wanted to speak at the last meetings should have been assigned to you guys. Should we waste money on setting up a commission to enforce United Nations law and adopting a UN convention, no matter how noble a cause is?
Hey, sir, that's item 15, and I look forward to hearing your comments on item 15 when we get there. But here we need you to talk about item 9. And then you'll have the opportunity to talk about CEDAW when we get there. But this is agenda item 9.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, sir.
Sorry.
You can continue your remarks on item 9 if you would like, yeah.
Oh.
You just got to talk about the item we're on, and then we'll get to CEDAW in a little bit.
Well, I mean, I didn't really have anything to say on item 9.
Okay, then we'll see you on item 15. Next speaker, please.
Sorry.
Audra, love how you did this. Is this your way of going, we're trying to, make civic engagement seem like we want to hear from the people? I mean, Helen, you're like the only one that listens and you don't vote. All the other people just, play on their computer screens, laugh at the people, don't really care what they have to say, but you guys want, transparency and open government. But everything that you're doing with this consent calendar is not allowing for that. It's like everything you do is contradictory to what you say you're going to do. We want this, but we're going to do this and silence the people. I mean, it's a First Amendment right to redress your grievances, right? Weird. But yet, you guys are encroaching on that all the time, trying to put up these constructs around us to be like, we're not.
On item 9?
Oh, I am.
Non-agendized public communication is over. You need to speak to the item your comments.
What are you Nathan, for real? This has to do with that. What do you think I'm talking about? Rainbows? Huh? The vaccine? What? I mean, I could say civic engagement for 2 minutes if I wanted. That's on topic. You just don't like to hear that what you're doing is totally illegal. And you guys aren't transparent. The only way you are is that I just know what you're going to do because it's the same shit that you guys do all the time. It's ridiculous. I mean, you're like, what are you highlighting, Nathan? How can you vote on hearing what people say if you don't listen? The only time you do is oh my gosh, they're clapping. You better stop. You're interrupting this person. No, you're interrupting them. It's ridiculous. The fact that there's 100 boards and, none of us can really even speak to them or have them listen to the people when they're supposed to represent us, it's great.
Next speaker, please.
Jason Robo. Well, I've seen lots of engagement on this side of things, but I rarely see any on your side of things. I think, if anything, you were more into engagement, and that's keeping people from saying what they want. It's just such an inconvenience to have people say something that you think's off topic is now the other way you're doing your little no consent calendar horse shit. We are a bridge to the community. It says bridge to the community in your little blurb, whatever the hell you're voting on here. I mean, I think you want us about as expressive as the GIMP in Pulp Fiction. Was that out of order? How loud can they laugh? How many dBs can we hit? Kind of curious, is that engagement from positive feedback? You don't want that. And yeah, just like they were saying about posse comitatus earlier, I had something about, I thought first, the reason why they made that rule was actually because of brutal repression of, I think, union or something like that, and they killed a bunch of people. Nobody was found guilty, and that's why they passed posse comitatus. But anyways, I'm surprised I'm not being yelled at for not being on topic. I think all engagement should be applicable for this item. But anyways, once before I've said that your board should be spelled B-O-R-E-D. I think Nathan's highlighter is more appealing to chew on than the words that we have to share. I mean, there's like an interconnected fabric of oppression that is going on. And anybody that picks up one piece of the thread can follow the rest of it. And so it's like you're like bitching that we're talking about one part of the blanket of your bullshit. You don't want to take care of us. You want to take care of us. You're like a little mafia. And we can see what you're doing. That's why you don't want us to speak.
Final call for Jessica Williams. We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you'll be unmuted and you'll hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments after the beep. I'll remind the callers that they should mute their TV or live video stream before they begin speaking. We'll begin with our first caller.
Good morning, Chair Fletcher, Carlsbad's new Supervisor Lawson Reamer, Supervisor Vargas, Supervisor Anderson, and Supervisor Desmond. My name is Hope Nelson, and I speak as president of Citizens for a Friendly Airport. I want to thank you for approving the Palomar Airport Master Plan to remain a B2 category airport with no major expansion.
Pause your time for a second. We're on agenda item number 9. Civic
This is agenda item number 9. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I proceed?
If you want to speak about item 9, we would love to hear from you.
Well, we have asked for a good look at this board's, commissions, and committees policy because the Palomar Airport Advisory Committee is out of control and has been for a long time. We're glad to see the issue of diversity addressed in this proposed document, particularly when you look at the Palomar Airport Advisory Committee. The current PAC consists of 9 members, 7 white guys, 1 API, and 1 woman just added in 2021, so we appreciate this. And at the same time, I call your attention to item B, appointments under general provisions, item B, which says membership on a county committee shall be limited to 2 consecutive terms. The PAC currently has an 18-year member, one appointed in 2010, another appointed in 2008, all still on the board due to waivers by the supervisor in charge, Jim Desmond. This proposed document doesn't say anything about waivers, so please make sure the waivers are addressed so we don't have folks sitting on committees for 29 years, which, yes, did happen not too long ago on the PAC. Last, the biggest question is enforcement, so we are interested in how that will be handled. Again, I do want to compliment you and thank you for keeping the airport a B2 designated airport, and thanks again for your time this morning.
Thank you. Now hear from our next caller.
Ashley Luna, item number 9. This is regarding item number 9, hate speech at meetings. At the last April 26th meeting, someone called people TERFs and a-holes just because they were concerned about women's Title IX sex-based rights. TERF is a misogynist verbal assault meant to intimidate and mark specifically women for violence, harassment, and death threats. And since CEDAW is supposed to fight all gender-based harassment, you are now obligated to condemn this hateful name-calling. TERF is the woke equivalent of how men used to call feminists man-haters
This is topic number 9. You're on the wrong topic?
This is, yes, this is regarding civic engagement, and this is regarding that hate speech during civic engagement should be condemned, and this is the reasons why.
Okay, this is item number 9 regarding boards and commissions. Feel free to discuss that item.
Okay, so again, this is regarding this is regarding hate speech at meetings. Because that affects civic engagement, and I'm now reclaiming my time because you interrupted me. Please. TERF is a woke version of how men used to call feminists man-haters just for being opinionated, defending women's rights, and daring to more than whisper about the impact of male violence. TERF is turning into a label versus anyone who disagrees with something that a trans person says, even when you support safety rights of both women and trans people. Last April 26th should have been about women's rights, yet we can't even go one day without a man hurling a threatening, sexist slur at us, even if we're just expressing opinions and knowledge that the majority of Americans share. Ms. Robbins-Meyer, Board of Supervisors, Mr. Strong, please don't forget that us women, we are not a monolith. We deserve to be able to debate our own rights and speak truth without fear, and I demand that this hate speech is condemned. Many of us women have experienced abuse, domestic abuse. I have the scars to prove it, and we know gaslighting when we see it. Male violence is still the #1 problem. All domestic violence and rape is a hate crime. 3,000 women are still murdered every year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from our next caller.
Truth. The hypocritical members on the Leon L. Williams Commission is a great example of the lack of tolerance of a real diversity of opinions by these county boards, committees, and commissions. When Pastor Dennis Hodges explained his biblical perspective, they threw him out. And then Tara read horrible translations of quotes from the Bible, trying to suggest Christians are full of hate and therefore unqualified. No surprise, Tara's recommendation number 3 will ensure further crushing of dissent. She wants the National Conflict Resolution Center to produce the same type of discriminatory code of civil censorship that has been applied to these meetings, where attendees are no longer allowed to express human reactions. Keep in mind that the National Conflict Resolution Center promotes garbage from the socialist terrorist group Black Lives Matter. The Commission on the Status of Women and Girls is a great example of people handpicked for their bias. And as far as the Citizens Law Enforcement Review Board, remember how we were told tons of people were being killed in the jails? Well, last year, CERB said in their annual report overview that, quote, 12 deaths occurred in the custody of the jails. 1 was a homicide, 2 were suicides, 4 were natural, and 5 were drug-related. All that died in custody were men. 6 were white, 4 were African-American, and 3 were Latino, end quote. The actual stats did not suggest that inmates were or are being systematically killed in the jails. 2 things are clear. 1, the information provided by citizen boards can be twisted by the supervisors. And 2, the people chosen to be on the boards, committees, and commissions are handpicked for their beliefs ahead of time and kicked off if they dissent in any way to the supervisors' agendas.
Thank you. We'll now hear from our next caller.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please proceed.
Hello. Hello, this is Ellen Nash. I'm currently serving as the chair of the Leon Williams Human Relations Commission. Also serve as the chair of BAPAC, Black American Political Association. To all of our honorable Board of Supervisors, I would like to make a comment on Agenda 9. Thank you, Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer, for bringing attention to the update these particular issues around compliance and civic engagement with regard to commissions and boards. Long overdue. Most commissions serve as volunteers, and I believe the importance of strengthening those boards and commissions to ensure that we get the kind of outcomes that are expected in terms of voices that we represent in our community. This is a great start. I think we could look at it in terms of also the importance of training around bylaws, training around Robert's Rules of Order, training around infrastructure to ensure that our commission and board, our commission and the advisory boards are currently apprised of the requirements to serve as a commissioner, as well as on certain boards and commissions. So I would like to actually thank you for your time and effort to address the issue with regard to updating and also putting more teeth into the importance of serving as commissioners on these very, very important boards that in this time and day that we live in are so important to hear voices from all of the community members, but in a way that is structured and it's productive, and it also comes out with positive outcomes for the San Diego County. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
My name is Eleanor, and I'm talking on item number 9, promoting civic engagement through boards, committees, and commissions. Wow, the hypocrisy is astounding. By promoting civic engagement, do you mean that you will promote the agendas that you want to hear and disallow people from disagreeing with you? It's very interesting that your patience has been so wonderful with people talking off topic who have thanked you and have fawned over everything you're doing. When people disagree with you, you send the sheriffs on to them or you cut them off. This is hypocrisy at its finest and ushering in a communist world where only your ideas are allowed to be spoken and your thoughts are allowed to be heard. You really need to start listening to the people. The people do not agree with you. You are hypocrites and you are not serving the people. And remember, pride comes before a fall. And I would like to use the rest of my time just by honoring those people who are getting myocarditis and those people who have died from the poison needles that you are all advocating over and over again to promote your genocidal.
Hi, ma'am. We have an item for COVID, and we look forward to hearing from you on the COVID item, but we need you to...
Right, I know that. Other people have been off topic too, so I thought I'd throw that in. And finally, if anybody wants some people who will really be on the side of people, Jonathan Peck for sheriff and Matt Cinquanta for Secretary of State and Renette Denham for governor. Those are the people who will truly
your
allow
comments
you
are off topic.
to voice your opinions.
Next speaker.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good morning. My name is Noemi. I am in District 1. I'm a mother. I believe in God, unlike Tara Lawson-Remer, throwing off weird topics and twisting God's words. It's actually really repugnant, Tara, that you have the nerve to say you cannot vaccinate your kid.
Hey, ma'am, this item's not about vaccinations. It's not about COVID. We have an agenda item there. You're off topic. First warning, please speak to item 9.
This is about civic engagement, and obviously you're a hypocrite because you don't let anybody talk or have any other form of disagreement with you because you throw a little fit and you act like a little punk. So yes, of course, Amy Reichert for District 4. We're going to take over San Diego. You already know that. My 13-year-old doesn't need to be in bathrooms. And
Your comments are off topic. Please speak to item 9.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's malicious, Nathan, and you know that. It's malicious to be biased towards one form of free speech and not towards another. Why didn't you call out Tara Lawson-Remer? Huh? Because she works with groups that idolize Satan or something?
All right, comments are off topic. Third warning, forfeit the remaining of your time. Next speaker, please.
Sure.
Chair Fletcher, that concludes the request to speak on item 9.
Thank you. Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. The revisions, the finalized revisions of policy A74 weren't posted till yesterday on our website, and I'd like to delay this to the next board meeting because I don't believe that's properly noticed.
Let me ask the clerk, was this a late docket?
Chair Fletcher, it was not a late docket. We did the final version, the recommended version of A74 was posted online, but it did not reflect the track changes until yesterday morning. We noticed an error in the
Neither the clerk nor anyone up here needs anyone's help conducting this meeting. We will clear the chambers if your conduct disrupts the functioning of the meeting. I would really rather not do that, but this is the group's first warning. Please continue, Mr. Clerk. My apologies.
I will indicate, though, that the final language of A74 has been posted in accordance with the Brown Act.
Okay.
I'm just asking that we delay it to the next meeting so that people have ample time to give the input. I don't think there's anything on this that delaying 2 weeks was going to be earth-shattering, and I'm hoping the author would want people to see it.
Honestly, it's totally fine with me if we delay. And if you have comments or thoughts, I think the purpose of this is really just to make sure that we have a really robust civic engagement process, and that our boards and commissions process actually makes sense. We have about 100 boards and commissions. Some of them have been dormant. Some of them have open positions. Some people don't know how to apply. The back-end system to sort of like apply and fill your application out is like very clunky. So any thoughts on how to improve it? It's very welcome and happy to delay this for 2 weeks.
So we've got a motion by Supervisor Anderson to push this to the next Board of Supervisors meeting. Second by Supervisor Lawson.
Happy to second.
All right. Supervisor Desmond.
Well, I'll just make a comment here. I agree that we need a code of conduct and it should be implemented, and we want to give weight to every voice on these commissions. And our goal should be to promote open dialogue where differing opinions can be heard and not shut down. These are mostly volunteer positions, and sometimes it's tough to find qualified volunteers, and particularly volunteers that are willing to take the time, because they don't get paid for some of these jobs. And so some of these meetings are downtown here, and for my folks in District 5 up in North County, it's not always easy to make some of these meetings. So I just want to make sure that we're not tying our own hands or limiting our options. And I do agree with this, the National Conflict Resolution Center, that it was part of the agenda item. It wasn't really, it was just more for information. But, the first in the Code of Civil Discourse that they point out, we will promote an inclusive environment where diverse perspectives are shared and considered. So I just want to make sure we were able to put the best qualified people in each role, and we continue to need flexibility to do that. That's all my comments on item 9. Thanks.
All right, we have a motion by Supervisor Anderson to continue this item to our next board meeting, seconded by Supervisor Lawson-Remer. Please vote.
Chair Fletcher, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
We're going to go to agenda item number 15, administrative item, second consideration and adoption of ordinance related to CEDAW. It's 11:15, and we'll do the staff presentation. We'll get a little bit into public comment. At some point, we will break for lunch and then come back and finish this item after. But let me go first to Mr. Strong for a presentation.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. Board of Supervisors, today's presentation will cover a background, overview, timeline, and next steps in the development of the board-directed CEDAW ordinance. I have with me today Francis Rogers from our County Council, our Senior Deputy County Counsel, who's been working on the ordinance. On November 16th of 2021, your board directed the CAO to work with the San Diego County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls to draft the CEDAW ordinance. Over the last 4 months, the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, the Office of Equity and Racial Justice, and the Office of County Counsel worked to develop a CEDAW ordinance and hold several community engagement activities for feedback. On April 26th, your board approved the introduction of the ordinance first reading, and today is the second reading of the ordinance. Across the U.S., numerous cities and counties have adopted local ordinances that reflect the principles of CEDAW, and these ordinances provide the roadmap for jurisdictions to take 3 steps: to identify, address, and remove barriers to gender equity. There are 3 main components of the CEDAW ordinance. The first is a statement of values and goals to prevent and eliminate discrimination and to achieve gender equity. Under state and federal law, the county cannot discriminate against individuals based on their gender identity, which includes transgender and gender nonconforming individuals. Therefore, the ordinance must provide equal protection and extends to prevent and eliminate discrimination against the intersex communities. The term discrimination against women includes any distinction, exclusion, or restriction on the basis of gender and sex assigned at birth. Second, implementing a countywide intersectional gender analysis. The gender analysis would help the county identify barriers to gender equity and factors perpetuating gender inequity. This assessment will further the work of similar assessments already being conducted in the county. Third, a gender equity strategy for county operations throughout the region, and this includes intersectional gender action plans for county departments and a 5-year countywide intersectional gender equity action plan. The ordinance incorporates the model CEDAW ordinance available from the cities of the CEDAW campaign. In addition, the ordinance incorporates similar provisions enacted by the City of Pittsburgh, County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and the City and County of San Francisco. The proposed ordinance incorporates some of the subsequent public comment and departmental feedback received over the past few months. As a local government, the county can only regulate and address those subject matters within the authority of the Board of Supervisors. And also to note that the public entities may not discriminate against or grant preferential treatment to any individual or group on the basis of race, sex, color, ethnicity, or national origin in operation of public employment or public contracting. To this point, the ordinance must not be construed or implemented in a manner that conflicts with federal, state, or local law. The Office of Equity and Racial Justice, under the direction of the CAO, will act as the oversight body for the CEDAW ordinance. And in addition, the Office of Equity and Racial Justice will consult with the Commission on the intersectional gender analysis and gender equity action plans to ensure the county achieves the local principles of CEDAW. Within 180 days following the effective date of this ordinance, the OERJ, in coordination with the Commission on the Status of Women and Girls, will develop and present the Board of Supervisors with a proposed plan for completing the baseline analysis that includes funding, procurement of a consultant, and a timeline for completion. Upon completion of the baseline intersectional gender analysis, the county departments, offices, programs, boards, and commissions, and other operational units will develop individual intersectional gender equity action plans. Subject to your questions, that concludes our presentation.
Thank you. Let me ask the clerk to call forward the public speakers on this item.
Thank you, Chair Fletcher. We have 75 requests to speak on this item, 48 in person and 27 by phone. Also note that we received 89 e-comments, 35 in favor and 52 in opposition, and 1 neutral. Any members of the public that requested to speak on item 15 by phone, please dial into the conference line now using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. Those in favor of this item, as your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals until it is your turn to speak. I'd like to invite forward the following individuals: Jenny Prisk, Rebecca Boyce, Parisa Ijak Magsudi, Deju Cabrera, Tiffany Boyd Hodgins, and Tracy Sundlin. You'll have 2 minutes to address the board. I'll ask you to please state your name for the audio record.
Good morning, Chair Fletcher, Supervisors, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jenny Prisk, and from 2015 to 2017, I chaired the County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. The very fact that we are here today urging you to adopt the CEDAW ordinance highlights the lack of full equality for women in our county. Homelessness, economic status, healthcare, education, disabilities, violence, and unequal pay, and more all affect women and girls more deeply and severely, as the statistics show. Just as the suffragettes fought and won the right for women to vote in 1920, so we are fighting today to continue their legacy by passing a Bill of Rights that protects all women. There are naysayers in this chamber who believe that adopting CEDAW creates a salute to transgender women. I say the adoption is a salute to the Board of Supervisors and recognition of all women, including those who have known from childhood that they are living in the wrong body and make the decision to become a woman after years and years of counseling, therapy, fear, and abuse. The County Commission on the Status of Women, especially Parisa Ijadi Maksudi, who leads the CEDAW committee, and the Office of Equity and Racial Justice all know intimately that women need protection, empowerment, and transparent governance. CEDAW does not impose any laws that ratify the treaty. It simply asks local bodies to examine their policies and practices in relation to women and girls. San Francisco and LA adopted the CEDAW in 1998 and 2004, respectively. San Francisco uses CEDAW to educate and influence the attitudes and behaviors of decision makers towards women's equality. I urge you to vote yes for the CEDAW ordinance. You will elevate and protect women and ensure dignity and respect for all. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, Chair Fletcher and the Board of Supervisors. My name is Dr. Rebecca Boyce, and I am a Vice Chair of the San Diego County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. I'm a member of the UN and a past co-chair of the Community Subcommittee on the San Diego Regional Advisory Council on Human Trafficking and Commercial Sexual Exploitation of Children. For the past 8 years, I have had the opportunity to work directly with survivors of sex trafficking while volunteering at Generate Hope, a safe house in San Diego for women who have been sex trafficked. Sex trafficking is the second fastest growing crime in the country, as well as in San Diego County. People who have experienced homelessness, domestic violence, or child abuse are more vulnerable to being trafficked. Our survivors have experienced multiple rapes per day for somebody else's profit. The trans community is disproportionately affected by trafficking. This is because they are often rejected by their families and their communities for being who they are. They are also members of our community who deserve to be included and protected by law. Gender-based violence is directly correlated with gender inequality. The CEDAW ordinance is designed to help identify and then remove obstacles that prevent women and girls from participating fully in society. That is, its purpose is to achieve gender equality. Policies that prevent violence from occurring in the first place are more effective and cost-efficient than policies that try to repair the damage after violence has occurred. I am asking that you accept this opportunity to help the citizens of San Diego create a more inclusive and prosperous society by passing the CEDAW ordinance. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. Thank you for your time in hearing me speak today. My name is Commissioner Deja Cabrera, and I am Supervisor Vice Chair Nora Vargas's first appointed trans woman to sit on the county's Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. Thank you, Chair Fletcher, Vice Chair Vargas, and Supervisor Lawson-Remer. The gender equity this ordinance provides is going to transcend San Diego into a leading county nationwide. I applaud you three for the inclusivity you have made sure was included, as inclusivity must be included. While trans people are increasingly visible and with both popular culture and daily life, we still face severe discrimination, stigma, and systemic inequality. And I'm sure you'll hear more of it today. Advocates such as yourselves continue to work to remedy these disparities. Change cannot come soon enough for trans people. Visibility, especially positive images of trans people in the media and society, continues to make a crucial difference for us. But visibility is not enough and can come with real risk for our safety, especially for those of us who are part of marginalized communities. With this ordinance, including me, trans women, and trans folks with vaginas, it tells us that San Diego cares for its local transgender community. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair Fletcher and Supervisors. My name is Parisa Ijadi Maksudi, and I'm the CEDAW Chair on the San Diego County Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. I am also a poverty and civil rights attorney, an adjunct law professor, and a former delegate to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women in New York City. I am intimately familiar with CEDAW and with this ordinance. Because I served as the lead on drafting this ordinance along with vital contributions from my colleagues around the state, which include international human rights attorney and Cities for CEDAW member Mary Hansel, and League of Women Voters Deputy Director Ashley Ravache, and local attorneys like pro bono attorney Nadia Farjoud. This ordinance sets forth an evidence-based, data-driven approach to identify, analyze, and eradicate discriminatory barriers for all women and girls in our region. Similarly situated jurisdictions credit their CEDAW ordinance for significantly improving the lives of women and girls. The definition language in this ordinance does not expand or change existing law. Such a position represents a misunderstanding of basic law. This ordinance is consistent with existing U.S. law. In fact, for those who have read the ordinance, Section 4 clearly states that the ordinance must be interpreted in a manner consistent with applicable law. The ordinance is also consistent with CEDAW jurisprudence, which champions comprehensive policies applied indiscriminatorily to all women and girls. When we protect against discrimination, we protect all members of our community. This is not a zero-sum game. I encourage you to vote yes on this ordinance, which will advance and assert the rights of all women. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. Good morning, Supervisors. I'm Dr. Tiffany Boyd Hodgson. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a mother, scientist, woman, and I love someone who is transgender. I also happen to be running for the San Diego County Board of Supervisors, District 5. The arguments used by Supervisor Desmond to justify voting against CEDAW in the last meeting are ignorant, presumptive, and unsophisticated. He cited vaguely biological differences as justification, as if those biological differences are discrete, unchanging, and the sole determinants of gender identity. They are not. For example, many men with prostate cancer undergo androgen deprivation therapy and medical castration as treatment. Does this make them women all of a sudden? No, it does not. That is absurd. Many women with breast cancer have mastectomies to remove breast tissue as treatment. Does this make them men all of a sudden? No, it does not. That is also absurd. My point is, body parts associated with sex characteristics and endogenous or exogenous hormones do not solely determine gender identity. The brain plays a role too, and as a neuroscientist, I know a bit about that. Supervisor Desmond, your job is to do the most good for the most people in a fiscally responsible manner, not manufacture fear of the improbable. A vote against CEDAW is a vote against the equal rights of women. A vote against CEDAW is you deciding who is a woman and who is not. You do not get to decide the gender identity of others. A vote in favor of CEDAW enables self-determination. Your voting record demonstrates a pattern of votes against women's autonomy, against women's equality, and a devaluing of women. Women who do not have equal rights are not free. Women know what is best for themselves, and individuals know their gender identity. I urge you to vote yes. I think women are going to have a lot to say about this in November. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Tracy Sundlin, and while I'm now best known locally as the co-founder of the Rock and Roll Marathon Series, I'm here as a former men's and women's college and club track coach, including at Georgetown, Colorado, and USC, the founder and past director of the National High School Track and Field Championships, a 6-time Olympic track coach and manager, and perhaps most importantly, I filed a second suit to force the women's collegiate sports governing body at the time to allow women to receive athletic scholarships, some 49 years ago. I'm here to speak in support of item 15 on the consent calendar, but I'm hoping that the board would accept a friendly amendment which would better convey and clarify the intent of the legislation. While you have told us that the ordinance does not apply to religious institutions or girls' and women's sports participation, in order to prevent public interpretation creep and the distracting political vitriol that accompanies it, and that has become common with similar legislation all over the country that doesn't include clear stated guidelines, I offer as a friendly amendment that the following sentence, or some similar wording be added to the frame of the ordinance. I suggest at the end of Section 1E, or as a standalone new Section 1J, quote, "For the avoidance of doubt, this ordinance does not apply to girls and women's competitive sport," end quote. It is important that the eligibility of the women's division in competitive sports, not intramurals, co-ed sports, PE class, or pre-pubic age group sports, but eligibility for post-puberty competitive high school, club, college, and Olympic development sports must be determined on a sport-by-sport basis based on science by each sports experts who know best how to balance competitive fairness and safety with transgender inclusion in their sport, not by the loudest voice in the room. Thank you for your time and consideration.
We'll now hear from those that requested to speak in opposition to this item. I'll be calling you in groups of 5, so please listen for your name. As your name is called, please come forward and stand against the east wall under the murals. I'd like to invite forward Lana Cotton, Gail Levin, Alan C., Dran Reese, and Keith Johnson. If I've called your name, please come forward. You may come forward in any order.
Gail Levin, Director of the Salt and Light Council. I'm going to read some written comments that are not my words. I would like to quote word for word from published material. On May 1st, Post Millennial Online, in an article by its editor-in-chief, Libby Emmons, wrote, quote, "At a recent talk at Duke University on trans and gender diverse policies, care practices, and well-being, surgeon and trans-affirming Dr. Marcy Bowers, who transitioned at the age of 38, admitted that children who undergo transition before puberty will never have adult sexual function or experience orgasm. According to Bowers, an observation I had, she said, every single child who was or adolescent who was truly blocked at Tanner stage 2 has never experienced orgasm. I mean, it's really about 0, unquote. So how exactly is the county legalizing men and boys identifying as women and girls going to empower anyone, let alone women, as intended by the CEDAW? How is it going to affect people down the road who never experience sexual function with no ability to achieve sexual pleasure? Are you prepared for the backlash? The Merriam-Webster dictionary defines the word woman as an adult female person. If everyone and anyone can identify as a woman, how does society agree on the definition of who qualifies as a woman? Your ordinance will basically make women disappear. And what about the other harms? Women's Liberation Front reports incarcerated women named Tamika explaining, like most incarcerated women, she's a survivor of domestic violence, being forced to cohabit with men, many of whom are violent offenders and abusers, is cruel and unusual punishment. On April 26, 3 supervisors voted to make into law this harmful ordinance. I am opposed and urge you to reconsider.
Next speaker, please.
My name is Dran Reese, President of the Salt and Light Council, and I direct my comments only to Reamer, Vargas, and Fletcher, who voted to approve CEDAW and stand against biological women and girls. First, shame on you, ladies, for not standing up for your sisters. I mean, after centuries of getting voting rights and equal opportunity, you want to set us back to becoming voiceless subjects of sexual immorality and chaos. For the record, men and boys who identify as women are experiencing a disorder called gender dysphoria. It is a pathological state of dissatisfaction with their gender and is characterized by ongoing anxiety and depression. So you 3 voted for exposing biological women and girls to these men and boys who suffer from anxiety, depression, and dysphoria. By your vote, if we pretend men are women, their problems would somehow magically disappear. Why did she leave? But you're okay with transferring their dysphoria issues to us, including their increased suicidal rate of 40% above the national average of 4%. So you 3 again voted to share a bathroom with for us to share a bathroom with high-risk, potentially suicidal men or boys who experience instability and depression. Just great. Would you want your child to play with another child with issues like this? If you want to permanently expose women and little children, you are not a woman if you think you're a woman. You cannot modify basic biology ever. Men are men because of DNA and chromosomes. You are not allowed to dictate to me that I'm supposed to pretend men are women and put myself in harm's way. We cannot sacrifice an entire society, true scientific definition of sex, because of a small percentage of the population. And we thank you in advance for doing what is right and good for society by casting a no vote on discrimination. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Lana Cotton. I have thought a lot about this attempt to redefine what a woman is in the last 2 weeks since the April board meeting. 5 years ago, this would not even have been an issue. Not even on our wildest dreams been discussed. What has happened to our country that this kind of language is incorporated into a document designed to protect women's rights? I have compassion for those individuals who sincerely feel uncomfortable in their body. I imagine they feel trapped and unsupported by most of society. They certainly have rights that must be considered. However, rights of one group, especially a minuscule minority, must never impinge on the rights of others. Women have been fighting for equal rights for decades. For example, women's right to vote required a lengthy and difficult struggle. Victory took agitation and protest. Finally, the 19th Amendment was ratified on August 18, 1920. It took activists and reformers nearly 100 years to win that right. This is just one cause that women have had to fight for over the years. Now, 3 local officials are trying to strip hard-earned rights from biological women and give them to males who want to self-identify as women. Plainly, this goes against common sense. Why not slow down this rash rush to redefine women and poll your constituents to see if they really support this? I dare say that the majority of the population will not support this redefinition of women if they are presented with the ordinance. In addition, why not create a safe place for just the transgender females and males who identify as females? Shouldn't they have their own bathrooms, locker rooms, sports teams, etc.? This would be fair and equitable for all groups and not infringe on the rights of others. I fear the mama bears will be out in force against this ordinance if you pass it today. You know what moms are doing in the school boards. The same will happen here. Fair warning, don't get between a mother and her cubs. Are you 3 going to vote in a block? Did you have your serial meeting? Prove me wrong. Hi, Kevin.
Next speaker, please.
Keith Johnson. I oppose this ordinance. After over 5,000 years of human history, I don't understand how or why the San Diego Board of Supervisors feels the need to redefine woman or girl. It is ludicrous and truly serves no meaningful purpose. I find it incredible that this board is spending its time, as well as staff time and resources, on this issue. There certainly are a myriad of much more pressing issues that need to be addressed here in San Diego County. Adoption of this ordinance will put women and girls at higher risk for sexual assault and stifle their ability to compete in sports on an even playing field. There's the case that came to light last year in Virginia, where a 14-year-old girl was sexually assaulted by a gender-fluid boy wearing a skirt. Another case earlier this year where Leah Thomas, who although has been on hormone therapy, has the body of a 6-foot, 3-inch man and was allowed to compete in the women's collegiate swimming division. These cases are omens for the future of girls and women in San Diego if you pass this ordinance. Girls and women will face greater risk for sexual assault and a lifetime of the after effects from that horrific experience. They will also lose the ability to fairly compete in sports, thereby denied recognition, scholarships, and self-esteem. These are our wives, daughters, and mothers. All it takes is a boy or a man to self-identify as a girl or a woman. Shame on you.
As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 5 additional speakers: Wilson Martin, Pete Bishop, Robert Wellstand, Gerald Johnson, and George Runyon.
Hi, Alan C. Last go round, you guys are doing the rights for women, right to choose, and this week we're going back to discrimination against women, but you don't even put on the agenda about biological men wanting to be a woman. I have no problem if a person wants to identify as a woman or man, but the problem is, the one gentleman there mentioned it won't affect sports. Yes, it will. It will down the line, because it'll keep pushing over and over the line. Because this thing about continued victim bait, when there's already laws in the books against discrimination, is basically a non sequitur. Your own policies, you actually keep going after different groups saying, okay, this week we're going to support this group while stopping down on the previous group. How much further are you going to do this and keep pushing people against people? We cannot have that. We got to have a society where we're always like the three beautiful women that spoke for yes, I saw them as women. But what will happen if them same women, say if they're younger in a high school, in the women's locker room changing clothes? That's where you got to do the checks and balances of what is acceptable is not what's acceptable to our children, as other people mentioned about the mama bears. Because there are points of, yes, I have no problem, and please do not turn this into discrimination, sir, when you do your presentation. It is not discrimination when you see it, what happened out there, because it's basically a few percent of society. I respect anybody's right to be what they want to be, but when you go to the bedroom, or especially the locker room in the schools, that's where you got to say, well, wait a minute. You can be a woman, but let's look at for our children. Please, think about, stop pulling this race thing, because it's not a race thing. Like I said, the three women that spoke earlier, I respect them for that. Just don't demand me to say anything of what another person wants. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Marty Wilson. I'm a father and grandfather of daughters. I have family members who have been mentally tormented by gender confusion. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to come and plead with you today. I would like to say that I am sorry for the way the body of Christ has expressed God's mind, but not his heart. God's heart is to love and honor people and see them have a blessed life. And I just pray that the Spirit of God would be upon you, that you would have wisdom and understanding, you would have strength and take God's counsel, and that the fear of God would enter into this issue. The scripture says that the truth, if we know the truth will set us free. The truth is, in the beginning, God created male and female in his image. There are no other arrangements. God set things up so there is a blessing in honoring him and a curse in going against his statutes that were set up for our benefit and for our good. I urge you to choose blessing over San Diego, blessing over these individuals, and not promote the delusion that the enemy has placed on people regarding who they are. God created male and female because he wanted to bless them. He wanted society to carry on. And as we honor God, he honors us. God honored us in the most beautiful way by sending his son from heaven to take on human life.
Thank you. Your time is up. Thank you, sir. Your time is up. That was a 2-minute timer. Thank you.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Robert Wilson, I have a presentation that is an objective lesson of men gaming the system. I appreciate that this board meeting convenes with an invocation to God. Unfortunately, when you touch common things with something holy, the holy does not make the common holy. However, if you touch common things with the unclean, all are defiled. This county is a representative republic. This country is a representative republic, and we follow nature's law and nature's God according to our founding documents. With this ordinance, you drastically depart from God's nature, nature's God, and overstep your defined powers granted by general law. The people of San Diego did not elect you to separate the sheep from the goats. The people do not consent to this ordinance that doesn't follow state or federal legal definitions. More than 90% of people who commented on this item prior to the April 26th vote opposed it. Of the 3 board members who voted in favor, tell the public which of you did independent voting of your constituents. Your job as a representative is to vote according to the majority interest of your people. Or are we to believe that only 45 people in favor all lived in districts 1, 3, and 4, whereas 507 in opposition all lived in districts 2 and 5? The people of San Diego County do not consent to this ordinance that redefines women and girls to include men and boys. It subverts equal opportunity laws and is discriminatory against the very women you are supposed to protect. But seemingly your intent is not to guarantee equal opportunity, but to blur the lines, create chaos, and legal challenges by activists to usher in WEF's transhumanism agenda. The people are watching, and we will remember your votes at re-election. As Chair Fletcher suggested, someone else should run for his seat, someone who actually cares about people. Vote for Amy Reichart for District 4 Supervisor. Amy follows nature's law and nature's God. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Gerald Johnson. God bless you, Supervisor Fletcher. Hoorah. Thank you for your service. To all the veterans and one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. Each and every one of us probably have a mantra that we live by, and I'm just going to share mine. Just imagine a dot in the middle of a square being the center of the ring. And for me, there's a circle that surrounds me as that dot in the center. That is Jesus Christ. From any corner to the center is a bridge of truth. And the truth is that God engineered us for success, designed us for accomplishments, and anointed us with seeds of greatness with a men and women in mind. And so, whatever your mantra is, if there is a female in your life, like in my life, I have a wife and daughters who may be en route to a restroom, and now I'm got to be worried about what is going to be encountered in the restroom. You know, it is just heart-wrenching to finish that analogy because you all were voted in and elected in to protect the entire county. We're not going against anybody in their right to choose. But let's not push something in a corner, whether it be for money, whether it be for personality, or whatever it is. Let's stay in the center of the ring and follow God. Any nation that's gone against God has been destroyed.
All right, we're going to pause here for a second. There is no outburst. There's no clapping. You all are going to make the choice if we're going to hear one speaker come in and then leave in an empty chamber, or if we're all going to stay in here together. I've been very clear. It's my intention and goal that everyone finish this meeting in the chambers and have the opportunity to not only participate when you speak, but listen. But in order to do that as a group, we're going to have to decide that we're going to follow the rules of procedure. This is the second group warning about outbursts that are interrupting the conduct of the meeting. The third one will be followed by a recess where we will clear the chambers and conduct the rest of all of today's meeting with empty chambers and people coming in one at a time to speak. I don't want to do that, but I need y'all's help. So as a group, all of you sitting out there in the audience, please decide if we're going to get through this together, because you have a right to come down here to speak. That won't change. You also have the opportunity to be here in chambers provided that being here in chambers is not disrupting the conduct. So please, work it out amongst yourselves. Let's follow the rules of procedures. Let's let everyone speak. Let's let everyone stay, and we will get through this. The second warning, the third time the group interrupts, we will recess, we will clear the chambers, and then we will restart the meeting with an empty chambers. I really don't want to do that. Next speaker, please.
Before the next speaker begins, I'll call 5 additional speakers. Adrian Zavagos, Roy Dixon, Oliver Twist, Eddie Stewart, and Joel Lieberman.
Right, Dr. George Runyon, and it's good to be here with you. Thank you for your service to the community. Three points. 3 points I want to make. First of all, on this ordinance, I have read the ordinance And in its present form, rather than protecting women and girls, it puts them in great danger around the gender identity issue of our day. It is a slap in the face of women and girls, as I read it. It adds to discrimination against women and girls rather than really helping in that area. The gender identity issues in the ordinances is a slap in the face to the Creator and His laws given to protect His creation, man and woman. Secondly, if it's passed and made as an ordinance, a law, it really is an illegal law. We can make laws, but that doesn't mean that they're right. Gender ID issues in the ordinance violates the natural laws given by God and subsequently in the Bible. It's supported there clearly God's plan and God's purpose. But also, not only the Word of God, but throughout history, it's proven out. All you got to do is read Trimby and find out why cultures collapse. And the sexual perversion is at the core of it. Lastly, the ordinance in its present form will bring on society greater problems, as already is being evidenced. So please reject the ordinance as it is written.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Adrian Zaragoza. Nice to meet you all. I respectfully come before you. I understand that probably some of you may have been coerced into pushing this agenda forward. That's the only thing I could think it would be. And with respect, I asked myself, why did God honor this position to get you into this position? And perhaps it could be because you're being used to bring about God's judgment on the world. This is what I see. A young fella came up here last time we met. He had a bun on the top of his head, young guy. He said 4 times, the church is asleep. The church, he said, ba, 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 to you guys. And then he said, the church is asleep. Well, I'm here to tell you, the church is not asleep. It's very much represented here, amen? Amen. Sorry, sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that. Have it. I'm here representing SOS for Peace. What's up is down, what's left is right. It's insane what's happening here. This is against all that is referred to as wholesome. Men being allowed to go into a woman's restroom and locker room. Really, for real? Is that really? You have to ask yourself that, if that's right. You're destroying the fabric of society. You're destroying our country. You are destroying our lives. If this is your intent, then vote yes.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Joel Lieberman. I've had the privilege over the past 26 years to lead the Tree of Life Messianic Synagogue in District 2. From the myriad of unanswered questions that arise from this proposed redefinition of women and girls in Section 1, Parts F and G that pertain to incarceration, services to the homeless, domestic abuse shelters, women's athletics, etc., it's clear that this proposed ordinance's goals of advancing women's rights and opportunities actually does the opposite. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines gender as, quote, the state of being male or female. It defines sex the exact same way. But these two identical terms, according to this proposed ordinance, claim that since science is evolving, the terms are actually evolving. But the inconvenient truth is that God gave each of us a gender from the time we were knit together in our mother's womb. Every time our culture approves gender fluidity by politicizing language to say, quote, sex assigned at birth, it diminishes God and His creation. Human beings are not unsexed persons caught in a body of one sex or another, yet academia, corporations, the media, social media, and even the federal government are adopting speech codes that eliminate pronoun distinctions between males and females. Those struggling with sexual identity need and will receive our compassionate love, the same way many of us received our Messiah, who came, quote, full of grace and truth. Yet gender fluidity and subjectivity is a non-scientific belief. President Biden, hours after his inauguration, signed a, quote, executive order on preventing and combating discrimination on the basis of gender identity or sexual orientation, which was really superfluous, as it was already a violation of federal law to discriminate based on someone's sex back to the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Likewise, this proposed ordinance appears unnecessary as well. My opinion is that the women of San Diego County will not be served well by the passage of this ordinance, but if you are planning to oppose it, would you at least table it to conduct polling in your districts? Thank you for your consideration.
Hello, Oliver Twist here. First, I want to let you know that I was disenfranchised today by your consent calendar format. I only listed the main item because you lumped them all together. Then when you split them, I was told I couldn't talk on it because I had not listed it specifically. So the word is from now on, write all, and then we can talk on everything. The ordinance here today, I fervently oppose the passage of it. It's a disingenuous way, also the disingenuous way you moved along the legislative process using Trojan horse tactics. This ordinance is a dog pill and a marshmallow, a turd and a taco that you've been trying to get an unsuspecting public to swallow. You should have named it the Convention to Entrench Discrimination Against Women because you enable it, you don't eliminate it. Akin to the, and this is for council here, akin to October 5th, 2021, your attempt today to camouflage an issue by covertly burying it deep within a feel-good titled ordinance is not only overreach, but essentially fraud on the public's right to know. No reasonable person would have suspected that such a sweeping, partisan-driven item, such as redefining women, was within the confines of a benign-sounding ordinance to eliminate discrimination against women. The Brown Act requires agenda wording to be specific so as to give the public a transparent understanding of exactly what is being put forth. Refer to Shapiro v. San Diego City Council, as well as Carlson v. Paradise Unified School District. The latter decision, which addressed a too generalized agenda item that was determined by the courts to be, quote, entirely misleading and inadequate to show the whole scope of the board's intended plans. Today's agenda wording does not meet the threshold for proper disclosure. It is a complete 180 from the UN version. Local implementation falls short of the sufficiently informing the public that you'd be redefining women. The wording actually obfuscated a key element on this ordinance.
Thank you.
Okay,
speaker,
thank you.
please. As the next speaker is coming forward, I will invite 5 additional speakers: Archie Robinson, Davis Riley, Jill Addison, Patricia Fearing, and Anna Holmes. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Reverend Eddie Stewart, also president of Christian Leadership Network. I stand in opposition of this ordinance, which is a way of getting a UN convention, its ideals, into U.S. law. And I stand against it for 2 main reasons. Not only does it introduce international law into our American system, it also is a redundancy. And what I mean by that is that women and minorities have benefited from the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights. I stand here today, and many women in key positions today have benefited from the Amendment 15, which guarantees equal protection under the law. The ordinance that you're proposing is just a redundancy of that. The United States, in our country, we have advocated for women perhaps better than any country in the world. I just looked at the Pew Research statistics this morning. Women are graduating from college far in numbers over men now. They hold positions of leadership and authority now because of America.
Thank you. Next
Thank
speaker,
you.
please.
Hi, I'm a living American, born on American soil. I'm one of the people of the original Constitution.
Can you please state your name for the audio record?
My name is Patricia.
Thank you.
With that, I'm a member of the Republican form of government, and I fall under the first Constitution. Did you know there are 3 constitutions? That's right, 3. I fall under the first one. The current United States is a private corporation. All caps name on the birth certificate is known as Dog Latin, similar to what you have up there, Dog Latin for slaves. It makes you a person, which is defined as a corporate fiction of the United States. You are my employees. The corporate fiction. You have been trafficked as well from your birth status as a living man or a woman into a corporate franchise fiction or person. You are, nor will you ever legally or lawfully be a man or woman or a people as long as you do not legally and lawfully take your birthright status back. The men and women held in prison on January 6th till now are corporate fictions or persons. They are fraudulently held there. They have been trafficked into the United States corporation, and they are in fact corporate fictions. Fraudulently using Dog Latin, they have been trafficked. They are persons, corporate fictions, dead entities. They have no rights, only privileges, as that of a corporation, AKA a U.S. citizen, not lawfully an American man or woman, a living entity. A living person is a man or a woman. Corporate fiction, unless you've taken your birthright status back.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Anna Holmes. What is truth? This was asked hundreds of years ago and is still being asked. At this time, we all know that we were born with either an XX or an XY gene. We were named within seconds of being born. When we die, we have those same genes upon us. If we die in a fire or any other accident which mars us, they'll never know unless they look at our genes. This CEDAW is a lie. It tells us that we are not who we are, and it trains our children to believe that they are not who they were born to be. We are born in a country where we all have the ability to be to the full potential of who we are. I ask you, each one of you, to vote against this bill. I do not want to live in a county that has a lie running amongst our children, our adults, and our elected politicians. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
My name is Jill Addison. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in shaping the laws that we all live under. It's so important that we all have a voice in deciding how we live. And it's so important that our leaders listen to the people that you govern. Thank you for listening. I am deeply disappointed that Tara Lawson-Remer left and apparently was not willing to listen to people who have a different opinion than she does. If that is the case, that is very immature and irresponsible and not worthy of the position she holds. Tara, you need to come back to your seat right now and listen to the people you represent. I believe this ordinance puts women at risk and hurts women in unprecedented ways. I'm most concerned about girls who are now going to have males in the most private spaces of their lives that should be protected. Spaces like locker rooms, domestic violence shelters, and even women's prisons. These are spaces where girls and women should not have to worry about men having access to them and their bodies. These spaces should be reserved for women who are biologically born women. This ordinance is also extremely unfair to women playing sports who now have to compete with people who are born men and who often have natural-born advantages in strength and speed. Women will be robbed of medals and scholarships that they should have won. Please, I beg you, Nora, Tara, and Nathan, to vote no on this harmful and unfair ordinance.
All right, it is, go ahead, sir.
Hello, my name is Dr. Dave Riley. I'm a retired educator, principal for 28 years, elementary school, high school, college, and I was a women's coach for many sports. This ordinance does not create an equal, fair playing field for women. It will eliminate the protection of women. Biological males competing against biological females is not an equal, fair playing field. As my wife, who's deceased, said this, my daughters and granddaughters will not dress and shower in a locker room and bathroom of biological males for many reasons. And she said, we are putting them at risk and we are making more victims as a result of this. Thousands of other girls' parents feel the same way as we do. It's a reason why in California people are leaving in droves. It's a reason why they're not putting kids in schools, public schools here in California. I mean, it says in the Bible they will call evil good and good evil. This is exactly what we're seeing here. It's ridiculous. It's absurd, crazy, radical left ordinances. Biological males. Sports. We just had the National Women's College swimming. A guy that said he was a male, female, demolished the women's sports times. It'll happen in track, it'll happen in all these other sports. Biological males saying that they're women can dress in a woman's bathroom, and we're opening ourselves up into all kinds of different things. It's against nature. It's unfair. It's a horrible ordinance. It's being considered, you know, it should be a 5-0 vote. It should be a no-brainer, really. It should be a no-brainer. I mean, this ordinance is...
Thank you.
Please vote.
Thank you.
Wisely.
All right, it's 12:07. We are going to break for lunch. We will reconvene at 12:45. Board of Supervisors will reconvene and pick up where we are in testimony at 12:45.
We're handing out those blue ribbons. I'll bet you show the other kids how.